Well, day 2 of the week is here, and you are welcome on the Ayiem show. My name is Benjamin Akapo. As always, I do this together with Bernice Abubeidu Elansa. Let's get ready for another wonderful 4 hours. Up next, the news. Right after that, we're joined for the news review by Kweku Painso. He will be our guest. And then we get into our big stories. So here they are. The minority in Parliament is demanding a refund of some $2 million paid in 2019 as premium to acquire ordinary shares for the development of, yes, you guessed it, the Accra SkyTrain project. We'll be getting into that. Again, former Trade Minister Alan Kyerematen says he is the biggest threat to the NDC's fortunes in the Volta region. But is that the truth? We'll be looking at these matters as we host our guests. These and others feature on the big stories for today. But then on the next leg, we're going all the way back into time. Osaje for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. We're contemplating this morning his legacy, and it continues to divide opinions, even among those of his own stock. We'll be hearing from Samia Nkrumah and Seku Nkrumah as they share divergent opinions in terms of preserving the legacy of Ghana's first president. Was he dictatorial? Was he a despot? Well, stay tuned and find out. We'd also host Agro on what its latest projects are and how they're utilizing opportunities in the Ghanaian agric space. Also joining the conversation, the Ghana National College is 75 and will be hosting organizers for their anniversary. They are the Nananom. So stay with us as we contemplate all of these matters on the show this morning. We'll be right back with the news. Well, thank you for staying. Let's get into our first story now. And a 21-year-old man has been shot dead after he attacked the home of his 14-year-old girlfriend at Nkrumah near Adansi Asokwa in the Ashanti region. The deceased, known only as Cody, was shot in the abdomen at close range by an unidentified person while chasing the girlfriend's father with a machete. Here's the rest of the story.
The deceased, in the company of his friends armed with machetes and clubs, stormed the Nkrumah community from Ayekwa to avenge a breakup with his JHS3 girlfriend. The gang inflicted machete wounds on the brother of the 14-year-old girl. A shout for help from the father of the girl who was being chased by the deceased attracted some members of the community. In the ensuing conflict, Kode was shot by an unknown assailant. The death of Kode angered the gang, who retreated, regrouped, and launched more attacks on Nkrumah community. The Formula police later brought the situation under control. Yao Al-Hassan is father of the girl.
I heard my children call my name, claiming they are being attacked. I came out to find some boys, some of them smoking weed. They numbered more than 20. I started calling for help. With machete, they destroyed some properties here. One chased me with machete, and from nowhere we heard a gunshot. I later noticed he was shot.
The 14-year-old girl tells Joy News she broke up with the deceased because he's a chain smoker.
My boyfriend here do baby na me catch and say in your man or any man in June to see a man in flame.
He was my boyfriend, but I left him because of the immoral behavior. So I ditched him for the committee chairman's son. He thought it was my new boyfriend who picked the phone the last time he called. He attacked him for that reason, but some people restrained him.
And I'm so proud of far boy and send go to China second. And Omoya Yan, Omojis Kana went in any.
Meanwhile, police at Fomena have arrested 3 suspects believed to be members of the gang that attacked Nkrumah community.
Now, residents of Kitwe in the Salaga South municipality of the Savannah region have decried the deplorable conditions of the Kitwe-Salaga road linking the area, a major food basket in the region. They have described their roads as the worst in the region, labeling it a death trap. Northern Region's Martina Bugri now reports.
The Kito electoral area has 12 communities, a major food-growing area in the Salaga South municipality. But over the years, neglect of the road has literally cut them from the rest of the world. Drivers must learn to be patient and with great care to navigate the road. For now, commercial vehicles have stopped plying the area. Therefore, to travel to Salaga or Pandai, one has to travel on a motorcycle or a tricycle. The residents say to travel with a sick person or a woman in labor, one would have to spend hours on the road, sometimes losing the patient. Assemblyman for the area, Liman Elijah, said they are currently cut off from the rest of the world. A situation, he said, is disturbing.
And looking at the road, this is a major road that supplies foodstuff to Salaga market. And when you look at it, for past months, cars cannot even go to Salaga market. It was only motorkins and other things. And anytime it rains, the motorkins cannot also go. And we only have one clinic on this route. And that clinic referred to Salaga Hospital. So referring women from here or clients from here to Salaga is also another problem. The motorkins cannot even go. So when you get a car, they will not go. So it's a problem for them to even travel. Even when it is in the night, the clients cannot go. So we are suffering. The people are suffering.
Another resident, Mbabai, lamented that the situation is unbearable.
This road is so terrible. You can ride and get to a place you cannot go again. So, if a motorbike can get stuck, imagine a vehicle. If the authorities believe we are humans, they should consider us and fix the road. Traders are losing. For us, if the road is not fixed, no vote.
Madam Mary said people continue to lose their lives on that road, especially pregnant women. By the time I return, my sons will be running everywhere to either get me drugs to relieve me of pain or take me to the hospital. The roads are in terrible state. Every year, politicians come and deceive us, vote for us, we would fix your road. But nothing has been done. This bad road network has taken many of our colleagues to their early graves. Nana Kojo Pine Owusu, who had traveled from the Ashanti region to the area, could ask for only one thing: help to save lives.
So from Salaga to Gulubi quarters, in fact, the road is very bad. So during the rainy season, if the car brings some goods from Gulubi quarters to Salaga or from Salaga to Gulubi quarters, in fact, it's not easy. At times, they got accident on the road. Please, we are begging to government to maintain the road from Gulubi quarters to Salaga or Salaga to Gulubi quarters.
For these people, they have resolved that Until their road is fixed, no political party is allowed into the area to campaign for the 2024 general elections. For Joy News, Martina Bugri reporting.
Let's talk politics now, and flag bearer hopeful of the New Patriotic Party, Kyerematen, is optimistic he is the only candidate who poses a threat to the electoral fortunes of the National Democratic Congress in the Volta region. He says the Voltarians will consider his track record, charisma, and popularity and would vote for him if he becomes the flag bearer of the governing party. He's asking NPP delegates in the region to endorse his candidature to enable the governing party win the 2024 general election and maintain power.
The presidential hopeful Alan John Kyerematen kicked off his cluster tour of the Volta region in Sugakope, where he met delegates from South, North and Central Town constituencies. He shared with them his transformational agenda for both the New Patriotic Party and Ghana. The team proceeded to Aplau to meet delegates from Ketu South, Anglo and Keta constituencies. Mr. Kyerematen entreated delegates to impose their confidence in him as he stands tall among the 10 candidates to win power for the NPP.
I'm the only one who can stand tall to vote in what I mean. True or false? You see, the people of the Volta region have always been sending a message to NPP, except that we are not hearing them. Volta region has been saying, it's not that we don't like NPP. We like NPP, but bring the right candidate. Volta has been saying this for a long time. If you bring Alan, Volta will now vote for NPP. No, every serious person in NPP knows what I'm talking about. They know it. It's not that they don't know, they know it. All the people, the big men, the small men, everybody in NPP knows that if you take Alan, Volta region will vote for Alan. But it is in your hands. Don't let anybody deceive you.
He outlined his vision of amassing wealth for the NPP through job creation.
In 2005-2006, I have been talking about this. We are in 2023. I provided funds to every constituency to start their own business so that they can make money every month, not only to look after the constituency, but to pay allowances to executives. 2005-2006, I was talking about how to make the party financially strong by helping them to start their own business at the constituency level. 2006. So today, when somebody deceives you that, oh, Alan, he's just talking, how can you pay them? The businesses that NPP will be establishing will be stronger than what the government itself can establish.
Mr. Kyerematen and the team ended the first day of his tour of the Volta region in Juja, where he met delegates from Ketu North, Akachi South and North constituencies. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News.
Now, ECOWAS agencies have joined forces to further develop the public health workforce in the region with an introduction of new courses. Resident representative of ECOWAS to Ghana, Baba Ghana Wakil, revealed COVID-19 became a threat to most African countries, and it was essential to ensure our preparedness towards another pandemic. There's more in this report put together by Jacqueline Ansumayabua.
The ECOWAS One Health Leadership Program has been created for health professionals from ECOWAS member countries, aimed at helping the countries enhance their pandemic preparedness and response systems. Resident representative of ECOWAS to Ghana, Baba Ghana Wakil, stated that Africa's experience with pandemics and endemics has not been ideal, hence there is a need for capacity building.
Our experience, our journey through the last couple of years in dealing with pandemics and epidemics, not just COVID-19, but also Ebola and all the others I have mentioned. Our journey shows us that we need to develop our own national and regional capacity. For instance, in the development of vaccines, we found out that when COVID-19 hit us, there was no African country in the entire 55 countries in Africa that is capable of manufacturing vaccines. So we were at the mercy of developed countries to assist us, and they were dealing with their own issues there. So we have now realized that health security is as important as food security and energy security.
He further revealed that there is empirical data and research suggesting a global emergency which will require an absolute preparedness.
There is empirical evidence to suggest that there is a global emergency, maybe due to climate change and other attendant factors, that we are going to witness a lot of epidemics and pandemics in the near future.
Head of Regional Pandemic Program, Damien Bishop, says the One Health course will provide quick and effective information on pandemic concerns and how to mitigate them.
There's a lot of training delivered by lots of different partners on different aspects of One Health and pandemic prevention. What we're trying to encourage is an approach based on networking and based on communication, effective communication and timely communication, so that a response to a pandemic can be mitigated, so that a response can be earlier, so it can be better delivered, and so that information is shared with the right people at the right time.
The course duration is expected to span for 12 days. For Joy News, Jacqueline and Sumaya Boa.
Let's talk technical education now, and Deputy Director General of the Ghana TVET Service, David Pratt, has indicated that about 51,000 students have been enrolled into TVET institutions across the country. He says the rebranding and tooling of TVET have made technical and vocational institutions attractive and a destination for most of the youth. Mr. Pratt spoke at the signing of an MOU between the British Council, the European Union, and the two key bodies of the National Technical and Vocational Education and Training.
A memorandum of understanding is aimed at helping the parties identify and effectively play their roles in enhancing skills needed to increase agricultural production in Ghana. The project is co-founded by the European Union and the German Federal Ministry of Economic Cooperation and Development. The Deputy Director General for Ghana TVET Service, David Pratt, said TVET schools have become very attractive for students to study.
We are also upgrading these institutions to become modern and to offer programs. In view of that, the junior high school students have been trooping into the TVET institutions because that is what is going to give them the employable skills. For the first time in the history of TVET delivery in the country, last year we had 47,000 enrollment in the TVET institutions. This year we are looking at 51,000.
The British Council Country Director Nido Dudodu said the partnership is to ensure that they create decent jobs for the youth in northern Ghana in the area of agriculture.
The problem of youth unemployment is going to be with us for quite a while. And so we have no illusions that through this project, we're going to solve that problem all at once. And that is why, instead of developing our own curriculum and using it to train young people, we decided to work with training institutions such that the training institutions' own capacity to develop curriculum is enhanced. They would have all these materials post the project, and then the opportunity for more young people beyond the numbers that this project will deal with will be able to go through training institutions to equip themselves in these three areas and, keep being trained to fill demand-driven positions that commercial agriculture production, brings up north here.
The chief of Sakoya Na Mahama Sintaro, said the global trend in agriculture is moving towards competent training. Therefore, the program comes in handy.
And that's why I started by saying I'm very excited about it. That comes to actually enhance what I have been doing for the last 8 years. And that is giving young people opportunity to explore their potential in agriculture, be it agricultural mechanization, where we teach them how to not just drive a tractor, but operate and manage a tractor and all the agricultural implements that goes to do production and then post-harvesting as well. We also give live sets of skills in the agricultural value chain. For example, looking at how do we add value to what we produce. Primarily, we do a lot of production-based agriculture in the northern part of the country. So programs like this comes to enhance and help us achieve that objective of adding value where producers can get a lot more money that is more sustainable, that can create livelihood, and as well as employment generation.
Principal, Dabopar Technical Institute, Mahama Mariama, said the training will help with retooling of her institution and to train the youth to be economically empowered.
This is going to help us train the young people with skills to be able to get employed by themselves or others. It is also going to help us possibly retool the institutions to help us give the young and teeming youth who are crying for employment. You all know the unemployment figures are rising day by day, and projects like this would help us train these young ones with employable skills to put food on the table and possibly produce to export.
And that's how we cap off the news, but stay with us. The news review is up next with Kweku Paintel. Here we are, time now for the AM News Review. We're joined by Kweku Paintel, a lawyer. But right before we get into the papers and find out what they have to share with us this morning, let me let you know of that entity which always, in people will say, which always helps us to bring you this segment, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Now, for you, if you're a man, I keep saying, don't leave anything to chance. Nowadays, within the last 3 months, there are so many people I know, young people below 50, who have lost their lives. I'm not saying they're all related to prostate issues, but I'm saying that life is so fickle and you don't have to let anything go or leave anything to chance. So your prostate, right, it performs a pivotal function, not just in your reproductive cycle, but your general well-being as a person, which is why you ought to get yourself checked. If you're about 30 years, back then it used to be over 45, 50. Now, we're talking about 30 years. When was the last time you got your prostate checked? If you're a woman, what's your fertility status? Nowadays, a lot of people are coming down with fibroids and so many other complications. Do you know what your fertility status is? Well, for both, you can head to Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They're offering you treatment for these or scanning for these for free. Here's where you can find them. At Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard here in Accra. Then in Kumasi, Krodumabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's also Takrady Anaji State, Tema Community 22. There's Techiman Hanswa and Esiama in Zima. Now, I prefer that you give them a call. And these are the numbers you can reach them on. 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But just the start of the news review. And quite a number of interesting stories we're going to be getting into this morning. And when we have Kweku Paintel joining us, we will actually have that confab with him. But let's start from the end of the daily graphic. Across streets, death trap for motorists. Traffic lights dead. Urban roads battle to keep them on. And this is something that even this morning, this very morning, I experienced coming to work. This morning, just this morning. And there are so many of them, and it's such a pathetic situation because a lot of the time you would have, drivers speeding, others wanting to weave into the roads, and it's so complicated. I mean, if you have been using the Presec end, or maybe coming from East Legon, from the Goyle area, it usually is the case until much later in the day. And sometimes even later in the day, it is the case. So you would need police officers to be on hand to assist. If you also use the Alajo Road, connecting from the Tesano police training end, you would experience it there as well. This morning, I noticed it was saying for those coming from Alajo. So it's quite a tricky situation, and we can only hope that it is remedied soon. But per the story, some major streets of Accra are now death traps for motorists and pedestrians alike, as malfunctioning traffic lights have turned many intersections into chaotic scenes during peak hours. And I totally agree with that wording, chaotic scenes. If you've been there, you would know what I mean. A random check by the Daily Graphic team through the capital revealed that at least 123 traffic lights on 14 major routes in Accra were either not functioning, had poles without bulbs, or had their bulbs hanging on damaged poles. You would even see some of them sometimes. Again, one that I've been seeing lately. So unless you look at the one coming from the other end, you wouldn't know whether it's time to go or not, because the one there blinks both amber and red at the same time. Amber and red at the same time. So you now have to wait till it goes off here, and then you see the green on the other end of the road, then you know it's time to go. But of course, that's very confusing. And someone may come thinking the traffic light is not working, try and weave through, and then bam, accident. So the situation has left these intersections with regular heavy traffic that usually requires the presence of police traffic wardens. Okay? It's also another cost. Why don't we just fix the traffic lights? Now, the Department of Urban Roads says it is finding it difficult to cope with the extent of damage to the traffic lights in the capital, blaming human factors for the current situation. Human factors. Now, when contacted, the Department of Urban Roads did not seem to have any remedy in sight. This is my problem. They did not seem to have any remedy in sight, as it maintained that it was more expensive repairing traffic lights than installing new ones. So, if that is the situation with these 123 traffic lights, at least these are the ones we know. How about the ones we don't know? So let's approximate and say they are about 200. If for all of them, fixing them is going to be more problematic than getting new ones, what are we waiting for? Do we need the level of carnage on our roads to go higher up before we realize, oh, it's a situation? I'm saying just this morning, I went through same, and you have to be very patient. Ordinarily, maybe the traffic signal would signal within a minute or a minute and a half maximum, or less, maybe 45 seconds. But here you are, if you're waiting for about 4 minutes and you can't cross because the traffic from the other end is just coming through, because your traffic light isn't working, the others are just coming through, unabated, non-stop, and you have to wait. You would see taxi drivers and some others getting frustrated, wanting to cross, and that is where disaster strikes. So when? Till when? And my issue here, when contacted, the Department of Urban Roads did not seem to have any remedy in sight, as it maintained that it was more expensive repairing traffic lights than installing new ones. And this is where sometimes there is also the bit about logistical constraints. I know for a fact. They may not be saying it, but if the logistical constraints were not there, if they had the financial muscle, I want to believe they wouldn't have an excuse. But they would tell you about all of these other challenges they face, which sometimes makes me wonder, this country, what really do we prioritize? Because it appears a lot of the time we prioritize things that yield no results, like the SkyTrain bid that the minority is pushing now. We expended 2 million in there. So-called, whatever, research on feasibility and all of that. Even the trains on the ground, we can't deal with. We don't even have proper systems, rail systems, when it comes to train technology. Yet we are thinking of sky trains. You see, sometimes it's just so we're bereft of ideas. We act as though we were so knowledgeable, when in fact, on the ground, it shows that we are actually very foolish. That's the reality. When in fact, on the back of fuel prices now, on the back of the cost of transportation, on the back of everything we're facing in our economy. Can you imagine, if you're watching me this morning, and if you have a good thinking cap on, economically speaking, can you imagine how much of a boost it would be if that catfish farmer somewhere in the Bono East region, or somewhere in the Ashanti region, or somewhere in the Volta region, or somewhere in the Central region could easily get their produce to Accra to cut out the middlemen who may be extorting them? Yes, and that is the situation. You may have catfish that live bred is selling for about 30-something or 40 cedis, and it comes to Accra and it's over 100 cedis at the point and kill places. Look at the difference. Of course, those people add value to them, but look at the difference between the fish farmer who has to buy feed, has to take care of the fish to prevent cannibalism, because catfish, they are very cannibalistic, and so many other things. Imagine if they could do this via train, sustainably, efficiently, effectively. Imagine, for those who come from the eastern region to work in Accra and other places, if we had a proper rail system, what that would do to our economy. Weaving in products and human beings, what that would mean. But no, we wouldn't do that. We'd think of building castles in the air where pigs fly and say, we want a sky train. And here we are. So you expend $2 million on some feasibility study for a sky train that I want to bet my bottom dollar or my bottom cedi will not see the light of day. It's some things you don't even need to be a rocket scientist to think through them. Yet we have issues on the ground like this one where human life is compromised. And oftentimes you would hear that there's no funding. Sometimes I wonder how we think in this country. And sometimes while I'm so proud to be Ghanaian, sometimes it irks me at the same time that I am Ghanaian, because I've traveled around the world. And when you do, and you see countries with next to nothing and what they've done, and we are here sitting on everything and what we're doing, when I look at the youth, young people, and how they are suffering, straining, just to keep body and soul together, just to eke out a living, it really irks me. It really annoys me. And when our politicians parade themselves walking to and fro and talking about we've done this and we've done that and we've created X number of jobs and the situation is better, I just look at them, NDC and NPP, I just look at them and wonder. But I'll just end on this note. It shouldn't surprise us. Look at the economy of the politicians. The economy of our politicians is very different from the economy of the ordinary man. There are staffers at the presidency, less than 40, who a few years ago had next to nothing. Some of them have built 3 houses. And I dare anyone to come and try and I'll expose people. Yeah, someone less than 40, okay? Not really having done any work. Person becomes a presidential staffer, whatever, at the Jubilee House, and next thing you know, they're putting up this and that edifice and all of that. Where did they get that money from? You would probably work your entire life, and not make enough to put up a building. So, the economies are very different. But anyway, let me end this rant and move on to other stories. Sometimes I just get so passionate because the sort of information I'm bombarded with on a daily basis, and sometimes the pathetic situation in which we live some parts of our national life, most parts of our national life, really stokes my anger sometimes. But anyway, Attorney General inaugurates Registrar of Companies office in Kumasi. There's also oil fields to produce 120,000 barrels daily. That's according to the Energy Ministry. This story is not new. We spoke about it how many weeks ago? It's brought back. We want to see it rather than hear all the rhetoric about what we're about to do. Let's start doing that. So let me get to the story about the Attorney General, pages 16 and 17. And the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Godfrey Adams, has said the Office of the Registrar of Companies possesses the ability to be a formidable organ in the area of good governance and anti-corruption fight when effectively harnessed. He said it was therefore imperative for the ORC to have permanent offices around the country, stressing that the agency needed to be firmly established in every region and district of Ghana. So that's the rhetoric there. Also this story, our very own Hanan Abdul Wahab, CEO, National Food Buffer Stock Company, pictured there. So what's the story? Buffer Stock receives 100 million Ghana cedis to settle debt. You know, in recent times, there was a lot of talk from the suppliers, food suppliers, to the Buffer Stock Company for feeding in schools that they had not been paid for an entire year, 2022 and more. Now, the government has released 100 million Ghana cedis to settle part of the debt owed by the Ghana Buffer Stock Company Limited to members of the National Food Suppliers Association, suppliers of food items to senior high schools benefiting from the free SHS policy. The amount, which represents 50% of the total money owed the suppliers, had gone through almost all the processes, the Ministry of Finance and the Controller and Accountant General's Department, and will eventually be lodged in the accounts of the suppliers by Thursday, July the 20th, 2023. Now, in an interview with the Daily Graphic in Accra yesterday, the Chief Executive Officer of the GBSCL, Hanan Abdul Wahab, gave an assurance that the remaining 50% of the money owed the suppliers will be paid latest by August the 17th, 2023. So if you're a supplier and you're watching me this morning, that is the tail of the tape. Abdul Wahab is saying by August the 17th, you will be getting your payment. And that is the tail of the tape as far as that is concerned. So let's get into some other stories now. And even before we do, I just noticed Daily Graphic, your spelling of benefiting. I know the temptation is there is to use two T's in the spelling, but I think the editor should be watching that. Benefit, benefiting, benefited. Anyway, let's go on the international front and look at a few stories. Russia pulls out of Ukraine grain deal. This has been going on for quite a while now. It had to be renewed when the Turkish, Turkey, basically the intermediary, as far as those two are concerned. And that allowed Ukrainian grain, wheat, among others, to reach other parts of the world that they were not reaching, creating some food shortages. So Russia has notified the UN, Turkey, and Ukraine that it will not renew a crucial deal that allows Ukraine to export grain through the Black Sea. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said the agreement had reached a, quote, de facto end on Monday. The deal let cargo ships pass through the Black Sea from the ports of Odessa, Chornomorsk, and Yuzhny or Pivdenie. Now, Moscow said it would return to the agreement if conditions were met. Russian President Vladimir Putin had long complained the parts of the deal allowing the export of Russian food and fertilizers had not been honored. There's also the story, 2 dead after attack on Crimea bridge, and some Ukrainians have been accused of that, but Ukraine has basically refuted any blame in having a hand in that matter. UK relaxes visa rules to attract construction workers, and Britain has added a number of construction roles to its. So the story says rules, that is the headline. The story says roles. So let's see. Britain has added a number of construction roles to its shortage occupation list, allowing the building industry to bring in staff from abroad more easily to help employers struggling to fill positions. Bricklayers, masons, roofers. Okay, so I think it was roles that it should have been. Bricklayers, masons, roofers, roof tilers, slaters, carpenters, joiners, and plasterers will benefit from cheaper visas and more relaxed employment criteria under the changes. So I guess both rules and roles apply. That is it for the Daily Graphic newspaper. On the back page, Sunon Asogli supports emergency relief fund flood victims, and there's also philanthropist helps 30,000 in Bunkrugu, Yonyo. Let's get into the Finder newspaper now. And there is NPP's 2024 victory hinges on candidate message and campaign style. That's according to Alan Kyerematen. He's been in the Volta region, and he says he's the only person among the 10 who have been cleared to engage in that fight, if you like. Not a straitjacket fight, because it will be whittled down to 5 in terms of garnering votes for the NPP in the Volta region. There's also Akosia Menu files nomination to contest at Denta primaries. Lands Ministry denies engaging land guards to protect state land. I'll be getting into that story. And there's also passed the anti-LGBTQ bill without further delay. Moderator Global Evangelical Church says so. And there is 100 million Ghana Cedi GSDF grants disbursed to 105 enterprises for industrialization. That's a story I'll be definitely getting into. So let's start from page 4, then we'll go to page 5 and page 8. Page 4, where are you? Where are you, page 4? Okay, there you are. So here we are with that story. Let me start with the one from the Lands Ministry. So it says the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources on Monday dismissed media reports that it had allegedly engaged the services of land guards to protect state land. That is illegal, by the way. This was in a statement issued by the Public Relations Unit of the Ministry. Quote, the Ministry would like to set the record straight that government, and for that matter, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, does not contract the services of land guards in its operations. However, the Ministry, through its agency, Lands Commission, legally engaged the services of INOC Holding Limited, a registered limited liability company, to assist in reclaiming encroached government lands. Now, the story says this engagement has been in effect since 2012, it's stated. On Monday, July the 17th, 2023, Alhaj Al-Hassan Suini, the Member of Parliament for Tamale North, alleged that the Chief Director of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources had told the Parliamentary Select Committee on Lands and Forestry that the Ministry had engaged the services of land guards to retrieve encroached state lands. And so that is the story from that viewpoint. Okay, so let's get into the other ones. We've done the one on page 4. Let's go to page 5 now. But Kweku Paintel, a lawyer, has joined the conversation. Mr. Paintel, a very good morning to you, sir. You probably have to unmute, Mr. Paintel.
Okay.
I can hear you now. I hope you're well, sir. Mr. Paintel. Hello, Mr. Paintel. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Right. I don't know for how long you followed the newspaper review for now. I don't know what you've heard from me, but if you have, what would be your thoughts on some of the matters I've started sharing? Traffic lights, many of them dead in Accra, urban roads battling to keep them on. About 123 traffic lights on 14 major routes. And this is even what the Daily Graphic was able to find out. We here at the multimedia group Joy News, we've done same in the past. And there's also passed the anti-LGBTQ bill without further delay. That's the moderator of the Global Evangelical Church. Maybe I'll just go into that story and then you can share your reflections with me. So the Right Reverend Prosper Samuel Jomeku, moderator of the Global Evangelical Church, has asked Parliament to pass the anti-lesbians, gays, bisexual, transgender and queer bill without delay. He said there was no reason for the prolonged delay in passing the bill since the three main religions in Ghana, namely Christianity, Islam, and African indigenous religion, abhorred such practices. He was preaching the sermon at the ordination service of the 32 ministers of the GEC at the Trinity Chapel, Kotobabi in Accra. Any quick thoughts on these two matters?
I think this matter overwhelmed, if I may put it that way, because at least in Parliament, we know that all the 275 members of Parliament last week, they had an opportunity to express any disapproval, disagreement, whatever. And from what transpired in Parliament last week, there's some unanimity among our parliamentarians, and they are it. After that, I know the National House of Chiefs have come to speak on this issue. Fair enough, people are disagreeing with some aspects, but that is what every law is supposed to be. It does not appear to me that we're ever going to have anything, any policy, any law that everybody agrees with. But if the majority of the people, all of our parliamentarians, interest. Exactly everybody wants the law to be passed. I personally also do not know what exactly is causing the delays. They told us many years ago that they were fine-tuning some aspects of the law, which is fair enough. But if there are special reasons why the law is not being passed, Ghanaians need to know. The suspicion is that there are interests. We're talking about Western countries, which are buried in conditionalities hidden from Ghanaians and so forth and so on, that is seeking to tweak the law. Whatever it is, at the end of the day, we'll get to a point. The point is that Ghanaians have overwhelmingly agreed and concurred that that law must be passed, and it will be passed. And possibly, I don't know, I don't want to speak too much.
But there is a bit of an impediment because there was a sort of stay brought to bear at one of our courts. I've forgotten exactly which one.
I know somebody brought an action in the Supreme Court
that was triggered, and the Speaker of Parliament went ahead to have this sort of interaction in Parliament, for which reason he's being cited for contempt. You're aware of that?
Yes, somebody cited him for contempt, allegedly for presiding over Parliament when there was a matter in the Supreme Court pending the hearing and determination. I would not even understand if that could be the reason. I understand and I know what contempt is, but I really have my problems and my doubt if the law was intended not to pass, or rather the application was intended not to pass any legislation in this country over that subject. I don't even know exactly what they are seeking for in that particular application. What I know is that people are disaffected, people are aggrieved, people do not want certain portions of the law, but there can be no blanket injunction on proceedings in Parliament. I really have my doubt, but if that's the reason why they are holding on with the discussion, I will not want to go further than that point. Fair enough. One of these days, that matter will be dealt with, and the ambit and the parameters and the scope of the release being sought in the court will be spelled out, and we will know how Parliament has to proceed from that point. So if that's the main reason, I don't want to push that point.
All right. Let's get into some other stories. And there is also 100 million Ghana Cedi GSDF grant disbursed to 105 enterprises. That story on page 8 of the Finder newspaper. And the Ghana Skills Development Fund has launched the disbursement of more than 100 million Ghana Cedis in grants to some 105 enterprises. $60 million in terms of targeting 700 enterprises. So let's look at that. The amount is part of a total of $60 million 5-year grant, which seeks to support at least 700 enterprises to upgrade the skills of their workforce for businesses in 4 windows. The 4 windows are the formal sector, informal sector, innovation and green, as well as science and technology. Now, each beneficiary under window 1, that is the formal sector, has the opportunity to receive as much as 800,000 Ghana Cedis, almost 1 million Ghana Cedis. And however, those in the informal sector have up to 88,000. So look at the difference. If you're in the public sector or if you're in the formal sector, 800,000. And those in the informal sector have up to 88,000. Just to cap off, so the beneficiaries under window 3, which is the training, innovation, and green, can access up to 1.2 million Ghana Cedis. So lots of opportunities in here. And there's also talk about commencing the first phase of the 32 state-of-the-art TVET centers being constructed across the country. Congratulations to the GSDF and, of course, the TVET for all that they are doing in this respect. Let's get into the Daily Guide newspaper now. And when I do the stories here, lawyer, you can come in and react to them together. Government begins payment of food supplies. I've already made mention of that story. Let's keep NPP in power, Bawumia says so. But I would ask myself, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, yes, keep you in power, but for what reason? People must have just reasons to make certain actions. If you go to the market, you make logical decisions about the cost of this versus the cost of that, or the cost of the same product from different vendors. So why? That's the question. Oforiatta presents mid-year budget July the 25th, and that's something I'm looking forward to. Ken Oforiatta, still finance minister. Twin brothers on the run for killing friend, and Aisha Huang ran illegal company. Let me just do the story on page 6. You've already heard the headlines, and take your reactions as we wind. So, just a sec, Mr. Painto. So, twin brothers Farouk and Harus have allegedly stabbed their friend Al-Hassan Suleimana, 16, to death at a pub in Brekum municipality of the Bono region. The incident has since been reported to the Brekum police for investigations to arrest the culprits who are currently at large. Mr. Painto, I get, well, not surprised, but so many of these are happening nowadays. I really don't know what is happening. Your thoughts on these stories?
You're talking about the murders?
The murders and the other ones I have looked at. I'm talking about the GSDF and the over 100 million that they are making available.
Yeah, first, let me talk about the grant. The grant, like any other facility, financial facility, is essentially a loan which has to be paid at some point in time. The historical record that we have in Ghana is that the payment of loans, all these facilities, I mean, I'm sorry, but that's my observation. I may be wrong. Are typically disbursed along political lines. The beneficiaries of these facilities, once they receive them, they begin to consider it as some special thing that's been given to them, not necessarily, even if for the purpose that's stated on the record, as in some reward for, party political affiliation. And the record, if the banks will tell you, is that the default rates in the payment or repayment of loans and these facilities is in Ghana is among the highest in Africa. And that is a disincentive to the disbursement, or rather the grant of such grants to all manner of people, because these are intended to be some kind of seed fund. In other words, the thing has to grow, the base has to grow. And this can only happen if the people who become the beneficiaries of these facilities are able to pay back and, of course, comply with the terms and the requirement of these loans. Right. But the history of these grants, I don't have all the statistics, but the bankers will tell you, Ghana government must be able to tell you, the all kind of disbursement that they do, they never pay back. I only pray, hope, and wish that this time around there's going to be some mechanism in place that would ensure, first and foremost, the viability of the project, the various proposals. I do not know, please, I'm not going to teach anybody anything, but we are tired of meeting every year to talk about the same issues and the same programs over and over. That's why sometimes we do a lot of talking in this country. The viability of those projects that are proposed. Do people have pegs and things to ensure? Do they monitor? At what stage? I hope next year by this time you'll be able to get the figures, the statistics of who got what, who has done what, and where have you reached in each one of them. That's about the problem that we're having. So that's just in respect of those funds, that have been disbursed. There'll be, Christmas is coming. You're going to see how it's going to be dispersed. Even for us as a country, way back from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, when we started going to the World Bank, IMF, now we've gone to the state where they now tell you exactly what you must do. I don't know why we cannot use the same methods, the same terms, the same conditions, or even call it conditionalities in dispersing some of these things.
And those are questions, Mr. Painto, that we can ask for a long time on the back of the developments that keep going back and forth in the country. But thank you, Mr. Painto, for joining the conversation. Unfortunately, we've run out of time and we have to run. I do wish you could have joined us earlier, though. But we'll be getting
I'm sorry. So I forgot about the time. I'm sorry. That's very bad.
We're okay with that. We know you usually wouldn't be late. But just as we move on to sports, let me just remind you that we have the Joy Business pre-budget forum today between 1 and 3 p.m. We have a number of speakers this morning. You don't want to miss that. It is between 1 and 3 p.m. Later in the day, Professor Godfred Bokpin, Mark Bedu Abuaje, Joseph Obengo of Guta, among others, will be on the bill. This segment always brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, and they're offering free screening. If you're a woman, fertility screening. If you're a man, prostate screening. Locate them here in Accra at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. There's Kumasi Kronoma Boy here behind the Angel Educational Complex, Takrady Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Tichiman Hanso and Esiama and Zima. Call them on 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 3, 2, 1. End Point Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But the start of sports up next.
Thank you for staying with us. I'm Gary Al Smith, and this is the sport. Later today at 4 p.m., the Black Queens, that's the senior national team, the female national team, will take on Guinea in the second leg of qualifiers for the 2024 Olympic Games at the Accra Stadium. Ghana has a 3-0 advantage after a resounding win in Conakry a couple of days ago. And the team held a final training session yesterday where the coach Nora Huptel cautioned the players against complacency. Joy Sports' Lawrence Beatty was there and has the rest of the story.
The Black Queens command a 3-0 advantage from the first leg after the victory in Conakry last Friday. The team held its final training ahead of the game on Monday evening, with all 23 players completing the session. The return fixture against Guinea will be the 5th game for Nora Huptel since she was appointed as the head coach of the side. During the 4 games played, the Black Queens have scored 10 goals and conceded 0 in that period, winning all as well. Speaking before the team's training, the Swiss coach said Ghana has a tradition of controlling games and she's trying to implement that.
Of course, it's in our DNA in Ghana to be very creative, to have ball possession, to play offense, to take the initiative in the offense. But also there you need to know which spaces you can find against his opponent. We try to create a high rate of chances. Our XG factor, so what we put then in the goal out of these chances can still be developed much more. In Guinea we could have scored 6-7 goals. So also there we want to still develop and are very hungry, to score more goals. Behind we have a clear tactical frame also for the defense. It's also then a lot of discipline. It calls to make the runs, and then we come back to our values. Are we selfless and run in the defense for each other and fight for each other? And I think we did it pretty well against Guinea. But tomorrow it's a new game, and we need to stick back to those values.
Portia Boache, who is the captain of the side, also added that the team will not be complacent against Guinea, despite boasting a 3-goal advantage, and will play again for the win on Tuesday.
I know we have a mission ahead of us, and I trust my girls very much that we are going to qualify. And as a captain, I always talk to my girls because adiebi eba emma easy upe bibi ana bibi siwani suwa I was say onkonkodin and sana on say to me I can't the chrono. So anytime biano me no mo kasa sometimes me kasa chrom one-on-one and they are ready to work for me and my coaches. So we are really prepared for this qualification.
Prior to Ghana's training session, Guinea were at the stadium earlier, and speaking to the press, the head coach of the team said they will play to honor their country against the Ghanaians. The Black Queens will face the winner of the game between Guinea-Bissau and Benin should they go past Guinea.
To men's football, and Ghanaian forward David Akam has entreated the Black Stars to ensure that Ghana qualifies for the 2026 World Cup. His comments come following the qualification draw where Ghana was pitched alongside countries like Mali and Madagascar in Group I. Now, according to him, the benefits of playing in the World Cup are huge for the country and the individual players.
I know the benefits of qualifying to World Cup, and the next World Cup is in USA, and that's huge. And I know I'm here in the USA, and I know what the USA are preparing. They are preparing for a great World Cup. And for me, I think it will be even better or bigger than what we saw in Qatar. So this is the world showpiece, and every country wants to be there. So if we want to be the best, want to be considered as the best country in football, then we have to be here. We have to do everything to be here. And for me, as I said, it's always possible to qualify if we do the right things. And of course, there's a lot of work to do, but we have to be here in the World Cup. I remember Ghana played USA in the Connecticut in 2017, and it was huge. There's a lot of Ghanaians in USA and Canada, and they turned the game into like a carnival. They were having fun, and it shows the support that we have here in USA. So if we qualify to the World Cup, then I think in our game it will be massive, because we are known for supporting our team, especially everywhere we go. So we have to do everything to qualify to the World Cup.
Tell me about the kinds of lessons you picked up from our participation or the failure at the World Cup in Qatar.
I think we just didn't prepare enough. We were not ready. I can say we were not ready, because we were not even sure when we had Nigeria. Everyone thought like we were going to lose, so we weren't even ready to play that game. But we managed to qualify, and when we qualified, there was not enough time for us to prepare. The most lesson I learned was we just have to prepare, because if you don't prepare, you don't win. And at the moment we have time. We have enough time to prepare. And I just saw they just announced their football DNA, and it's just from the beginning. We just have to sow. If you don't sow, how can you reap? So we have time now. We just have to start preparing, start sowing the seeds that will help us to achieve in the future.
Still on the World Cup qualifiers, Black Stars team manager was on Joy FM Game Plan on Friday, and among the many things he said was that he's sure the team will make it out of the group. He believes that Group I is level in terms of quality. Ghana is capable of qualifying for the global showpiece.
For instance, if we had, say, an Egypt, a Morocco, or a Senegal in our group, we'll be here focusing on how to beat the others, but then we'll prepare very especially for teams like Morocco, Senegal, and all the likes. The reason why this one is very, very difficult, and I think Cicho made the point, we found it very difficult beating some of these sides in recent times. For me, my first impression was that perhaps it's divine. Perhaps we are being given an opportunity to correct the wrongs in our recent past. Okay, if we are going to make it to the World Cup, it means that we need to get results against these teams. And if we get results against these teams, then probably we would have avenged the poor results and the poor showing we've had against these teams.
So it's double joy.
Yeah, so I saw it as an opportunity for us to correct, the wrongs that we've made in the past, especially in the Comoros, Central African Republic,
Madagascar,
and then Madagascar. It gives us an opportunity. But like you said, it also gives them an opportunity to inflict more pain and misery on us. So
I feel like Mali would be feeling very confident.
They should be, but
because their record against Ghana recently.
The reason why I want us to also feel confident is that
at all levels,
in the past 20 years or so, in qualification to the World Cup, we've shown that. Except for the lead up to the 20, even with that, it was because of exceptional circumstances. We all know.
Yeah.
But when it came to qualifiers for the World Cup, when it came to the crunch, Ghana has always showed up.
Yeah,
that's true. Ghana has always showed up when it came to the crunch. When the chips were down, when he needed a result, in some instances we even out impressed ourselves. If
like against Nigeria,
like against Egypt, in that playoffs,
6-1,
the 6-1. So I'll draw a lot of inspiration from that when it comes to the World Cup qualifier. You understand?
Now, Ronaldo himself yesterday evening broke the internet. What did he say? Now, he was asked after a friendly involving Al Nassr and Celta Vigo in Portugal, where Al Nassr were beaten 5-0, about Messi signing in the MLS. And he said that the Saudi League is better than the MLS. This was in reaction to, of course, Leo heading to the United States and not accepting to join Ronaldo in the Saudi League for big bucks. Cristiano Ronaldo says that in Europe right now also, the Premier League is the only league that is worth the hype and that all the others are dead. He further went on to say that he is the reason why the Saudi League is becoming what it is, because with his arrival in Saudi Arabia, everybody who is anybody wants to come there. He similarly said that it's the same thing with the Serie A, and that before he went to Italy, the Serie A was dead. His arrival revived the league, and that anywhere he goes, records chase him. The video for this is not yet out, but everybody's looking for that video, but the quote from the press conference came out yesterday, and it's absolutely broken the internet. Anyway, Barcelona's new signer, Ilkay Gundogan, says he still has a lot to prove after he was unveiled at the Catalan club following his move from Man City. He signed a 2-year deal at Barca after joining on the free, and the German midfielder captained Man City, of course, to the treble last season and had glowing words to say about his former coach, Pep Guardiola. Right, so that's it for the sport. Thank you very much for your time. I'm Gary Al Smith. You can get more on myjoyonline.com. Coming up later today, we will be bringing you more build-up to the Black Queens match against Guinea, and hopefully they qualify. Thank you for your time. The AM show continues. Stay with us.
Welcome back on the AM show. We get into our big stories. But even before we get there and I introduce my guest to you, you do know water is life, right? And that's why I'd like to introduce to you Awake Purified Drinking Water. And here's why. It is premium water treated through a strict purification process to ensure that every bottle on the market refreshes you better. And there's more. In terms of size ranges, they cover everybody. You're looking for something for the kids, small, 330 ml. In their packs, and they're good to go. They have 500 milliliters, 750 milliliters, 1.5 liters for those who always want to drink more. But if you want something for your office or home, they've got you covered too. They have 19-liter jar bottles that are ideal for those situations. So all you must do now is stay awake with Awake Purified Drinking Water. And for me, the best part, it is one for life. For every bottle you purchase, Awake makes a donation, sends a token to the National Cardiothoracic Center. Now, if you know the cost of heart disease, you will know that it's very difficult for most people who fall foul or who succumb to heart disease. That is why, by purchasing Awake, you are actually helping out those people. It's another quality product by Casapreco Company Limited. If you'd like to purchase in bulk, this is the number to call, 0262 351 251, 0262 351 251. This advert is FDA approved. But let's get into our conversation now. This morning, a lot to talk about, from Alan Kyerematen and his statements in the Volta region to the SkyTrain feasibility and the $2 million for which the minority in parliament is crying foul, to the Jachikwason situation and the lengthy court processes, the protracted court processes, which have been targeted by the Attorney General and his deputy, saying these are just moves to stymie the process and more. But even as we host the Member of Parliament for Buem constituency, Kofi Adams, let me just make this clear. I always do this so that no one sits somewhere and says, oh, they brought one side. We reached out to the NPP to give us someone to represent on this platform, on this show, and it was a no-show. It is not our fault. Like Pilate, I wash my hands. Kofi Adams, a very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Chief.
Thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you, too, for the opportunity always.
How is Buem?
Well, Buem is okay. God has given us life, and God continued to give us the peaceful atmosphere that we've always had. As I keep saying, it is only what we expect the elected officials and government to do. that is failing. As we speak now, our Agenda 111 has not seen any progress. We're still at ground zero. The site is still being prepared. Our one district, one factory has turned to a major forest where people now go to hunt for antelopes and what have you. Roads are unattended to after they dug all kinds of places, even sometimes destabilizing water supply to Jasikan community. I'm told by the regional minister that they have now gone through a laborious process to terminate the contract that the rules minister told me in parliament that they haven't even signed. How you have difficulty terminating a contract, you yourself claim you haven't even signed with that person yet. Only God knows. So if you go to the town now, it's terrible. As I always keep describing it, if you compare the Jasikan town roads with the Eastern Corridor Road, it's like moving from a market scene to a cemetery. You see how a market scene is so noisy and how so deafening the silence is at the cemetery. That's the difference. That's how I can use to describe our community roads and the Eastern Corridor section that have happened. The rains that occurred 2-3 days ago have had some impact in a few of the communities, and it is my prayer that it doesn't continue.
Are you referring to the same ones that struck Ho?
No, the day the whole one happened, we didn't suffer it, but I've just been informed that 3 days ago, all through till yesterday, we had some rains and some communities have been affected. I pray that no life is lost through, because it's farming season and many of them still have to assess their farms and have to cross these streams to go to their farms. And if the streams are flooded in one way or the other, it becomes very difficult for them to go. Some may attempt to be daring because that's the only way they can feed themselves. And it is my prayer that systems are put in place to advise persons and then to stop them from being daring, because water has some strength that you can't stop it. And so I want to use this medium to advise my people once again that they should wait for the water to recede before they can go to their farms. Otherwise, we are doing well. And let me take the opportunity that you have given me to greet my very good people of Buim, and then those there and those even outside, that together, let's work hand in hand to build our home.
2 quick questions on the back of what you've just said. So, what are the chief problems of the Buim constituency? I'd like to find out. And what is happening with the SAL situation? Santo Kofi, Akpafu, Likpe, and Lolobi. You're very close. That issue is one that is very close to your chest. You're very passionate about it.
That's true.
Ahead of election 2024, what are the moves so far? What are you anticipating? I've heard the Electoral Commission bring it up a few times. Briefly on these two, so we can get to other matters.
Thank you. They say home first. There are a lot of infrastructural challenges in my constituency, no doubt about that. We still need to improve our health care facilities. Our roads are terrible, very bad. As for water, myself and my MC, we have done quite a lot. I brought an organization in there in which she's supporting also strongly, and we've done some intervention that I would say that for water we are picking up. Electrification project is a challenge because the ECG have not been able to replace these bucket type of transformers with the modern one. So you still have a number of communities that are faced with that challenge, and coupled with its extension. But what is also dear to my heart, which I pray and hope that we will resolve so soon, is also the issue to do with our chieftaincy issues and determination of some petty misunderstanding amongst the various royals as we have them. I do hope that when that happens, it will enable the traditional council to meet regularly and to also support the efforts of political leadership in the traditional area. And that would also pave way for more traditional related tourism activities. For a very long time, the people of Buim have not been able to celebrate their festival as we have known it to be. If my memory serves me right, the last time we ever did was in 1992, when we celebrated our Yam festival with our chiefs in their palanquins and whatever. You can imagine, from 92 till now, a child that was even born in 92 should be about 31 years, 31 years now. And it means that if you are age 31, you haven't really witnessed any festival in your traditional area, which is not fair to the younger generation. So it's something that I've been working on for us to be able to overcome, so we could introduce, so properly speaking, introduce our festivals back into the system again. Right. Because it will draw people home. People will have reason to want to go home. Because as for Easter and Christmas, you can celebrate it anywhere. But when you have a traditional festival, that is what encourages your persons who are living outside of the traditional area to want to come home. So it's one thing that I wish is done. On the issue of SAL. On the issue of
SAL, quickly, and it's an important issue.
After a very long delay, after governments delaying all the processes leading to a delay in the creation of the districts, which would have led to the creation of the constituency ahead of the 2020 elections, and the Attorney General appearing in Parliament to give us some answers that nobody really understood. Virtually, he condemned his own government for taking the steps to create the district at the time that they did. He's giving his advice that the Electoral Commission should go ahead with the creation of the constituency. The Electoral Commission have visited Parliament for the pre-laying engagement with the subsidiary legislation committee, which I even attended. We have looked at the electoral areas that will make up the constituencies and the names for those electoral areas. What we are waiting for now is for the Electoral Commission to come back to Parliament and lay the constitutional instrument that will lead to the creation of the Guam constituency. And so I don't know what is holding them back, because they gave us a promise that they were going to immediately do so. And every information they wanted, they have gotten it from the proposed constituency. They have gotten it from the proposed constituency. So I don't know what is delaying the EC in bringing back the CI, as we have all agreed at this pre-laying engagement with the subsidiary legislation committee. I thought they were going to bring it somewhere last week, so we could get maybe some 10 or 12 days to count before we will go on recess. Then by the time we return, after some few days count again, the CI would have matured and we will know that the constituency is so created. I don't know what is holding them back, but at least this is how far we have come in terms of getting a constituency for the people of Central Kofi, Akpafu, Lolobi, and Likbe, which is called SAL.
Well, thank you for the update, and of course, I know you're going to be pushing on that, but let's get into some other crucial issues this morning. Your party, the NDC, is hoping to return to power. Sure. The NPP is hoping to break the 8. Yeah. If you look at the Daily Guide today, you would see the Vice President talking about let's keep NPP in power. And I was asking myself, whether it's the NDC or the NPP, there must be good reason to either bring to power or retain in power. According to him, the ruling party could only sustain its splendid works for the country when it is able to win the 2024 elections. I find this kind of rhetoric problematic. You can only do what you want to do if you are retained in power. How about the 8 years? And I can say same too for the NDC. You know, when you come into power and 4 years, let's give us another 4 years, and let's do this, let's do that. Your parties are always trying to stay in power, but I look at the deliverables and I get worried. We have this latest Hotline documentary put together by my colleague Jojo Kobina, Thirsty Dams. One village, one dam is in shambles, in a shambles, so to speak. So how do you react? I'll come to what Alan said in the Volta region, but what are the justifications, basically? Your party wants to come back to power. With what? The NPP wants to retain power. With what to show?
Well, I know you are only asking questions because you have to ask when it comes to the NDC. Because the deliverables...
I'm not only asking because I have to ask. I'm asking because there are pertinent grounds from both your end to ask.
You are because the two are incomparable.
Really?
I have said that people have said politics in Ghana here, the NDC, NPP is like groundnut soup or palm nut soup. And I said no. The NDC could be described as the soup that is useful, and the NPP are described as poison that you must not touch. So we must not.
But that again, I'm sorry. I have to.
Well, you
cannot say.
I'm telling you because I will.
While some people may be critical of the NPP, you cannot say that everything they do is negative.
I'm not here to talk about if you have given opportunity to invest and you waste our money the way you have done, only for you to come and be blaming all manner of things. And I will get to that. You see, the vice president says. He goes to places and says he's the only one who can beat John Mahama, so he should be elected. In another place, you say he has beaten John Mahama before. And I ask, has the vice president contested any elections in this country before to even suggest that? I thought the vice president would be telling us how he can beat the dollar. I thought the vice president would be telling us how he can beat unemployment. I thought the vice president would be telling us how he can bring down fuel prices. I thought the vice president would be telling us how the people of La, who had a hospital, which he led his government for them to go and break down, he will be telling them how he was going to get back the hospital so that the people can benefit from health care. I thought the vice president would be telling us the level of insecurity that we have all around us. As someone who is the chair of the police council, he will be leading a process to resolve all these problems. I thought the vice president would be telling us how he carried our debt level from 120 billion to almost 600 billion, how he was going to bring this down. I thought the vice president would be particularly interested in how food suppliers to our secondary schools and the rest who are picketing will be paid.
100 million Ghana cedis has been made available.
Well, it's been made available. They haven't received it. Yesterday, they said they came till evening, nothing has happened.
And
they will continue.
The head says they're going to get the remaining.
And I'm saying, well, they were promised that they will start receiving the money on the 17th. And 17th, they didn't receive anything. So let's wait and see what would happen. I thought the vice president would be telling us how the old ladies and the old men who are picketing for their bonds will be treated in a more respectable way. I thought the vice president would be interested that when you take people's money in the name of cocoa bills, we would not be telling them that we are giving you a haircut and when your money is due in August, you will not get it, but rather you must wait up till 2024. This is what we expect the vice president to be talking about, not how you will go about being accused by your own other contestant and they want to rig elections in your favor and to think that you can move further to rig the national elections. So as for the vice president, he is out. But clearly, the NDC has a track record. The NDC in government can point to things that it has done with the intention of lifting Ghana up. Today, in the area of energy, you can what Atuabo Gas alone, the Ghana Gas Company, has done to this economy. What it has saved us, you can't just imagine. This is through the thought process of the NDC to make sure that we establish such a huge industry, such an investment to save the situation. Look at the sugar factory that we did. But for this political decision of this government to virtually collapse that factory and fold it up and hand it over to their cronies in a way that nobody can actually describe. I'm speaking about Commander Sugar Factory.
But the intention is not working.
Well, because they decided to make it not work. Even the seedling, that's where I have problem with Alan Kojo Kyerematen also. Even the seedling, the nursery sites that have been established, they allow the nursery sugar cane to overgrow and they have to sell that to appetition distillers. The idea was to
the
have
whole-
finished
the whole point at the time. There are two sides to this story. The whole point is that those
when I
who
finish, we'll bring
cultivated
your,
sugarcane,
when I finish,
those who cultivated sugarcane they ended up selling to these
because the factory was not functioning. Yes, that's what I'm saying. They came back telling us that there was no raw material. They came back deceiving us that there was no raw material.
Well, let me ask you this. So the factory, the Commander Sugar Factory, as of the time the NDC left power, was it in a state that would actually produce any sugar?
It was more than in a state that would produce sugar. I was talking about even the necessary site to have outgrowers and the rest. All those facilities were available. This government decided that they were not going to follow through just because they didn't want. You see, they are good at attempting to change things instead of working with them to perfect them. The NDC, anytime we come to power, we don't care that you have done something and denigrated other persons. We will work to build it and make it better instead of working to destroy it. Then they will come around and say you have not initiated anything. Take health insurance. Look, at the time President Rawlings initiated the process that we should work on national health insurance, the NPP were opposed to it. Dr. Kwame Adokufo is still alive today. He was then the ranking for health. He granted interview that national health insurance will not work and that we should allow individuals to go and run their own health insurance systems. But we persisted, went through the pilot processes. President Kufuor wins, of course, he came and established what we call the mutual health insurance. It wasn't national health insurance. When we came, we didn't say that, oh, well, because he did it, we are throwing everything away. We perfected it and made it national. Look, we were having national mobilization program that was mobilizing young and elderly persons, free hands, and putting them into productive work. What they did was to collapse that, and in place, they had something they call National Youth Employment Program. When we came, we could have said that we were destroying that. We said, no, let's work to develop it. We took it through processes and gave it the legal backing that it deserved. See, that is NDC for you. We had a transport system. They came, they collapsed it, they say, oh, they want to do metro mass transport. Maybe when we came, we could have said,
Ayalolo.
no, President Kufuor brought metro mass system. When we came, we could have said we were collapsing it. No.
President Mills, that Ayalolo is still...
Yeah, President Mills led the process and made sure that we stocked them with more buses from the right-hand donated buses that they were using. We stocked them with better buses to keep that running. So the NDC, we don't collapse things. We build this country.
Is the NDC afraid of...
Let me just conclude. We don't have a termite mentality. You see, termites, in their thinking that they are building, end up destroying very productive material like wood and the rest. They destroy it. That's the kind of mentality that the NPP... How do you go and raise down a hospital when you do not have funds to even build another? How do you raise down a hospital and promise the people with weights? So this is the problem that we have.
Is a situation
this is the problem.
that is really problematic because people in that community now have to go to other hospitals.
I am giving you many other examples why NDC is different. Look at other health facilities around. Look at schools. Look at roads. Look at airports. Look at seaports. This is the only government that have appointed a director of port that don't exist. The NDC was building and expanding ports. Look at what we did with the Tema Harbour and Takoradi Harbour. But what the NPP have done is to appoint a Keta director of ports for Keta, a harbour that does not exist.
Right.
This is what this government. So don't compare us.
Just on the politics.
We are not the same.
Just on the politics of things. Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, the vice president, yes, he's been saying what he has, touting himself as the next leader of the NPP, the one who can wrest power from the NDC and prevent their coming back to power. Now, if the NDC has no fear of the vice president, I mean, you should want him to win, right? So,
well, but who says we have fear of you?
But it's been said. That's what his campaigner said.
Well, they are deceiving their people, but I pray that he wins. I seriously pray that Bawumia wins. I pray that he wins.
Because you think he will be a softer
Because Kennedy Agyapong already has a message for him. Say strategy is my foot. that a strategist who came and in charge of the economy when dollar to CD was 4 CDs to $1. Today, you are buying a dollar for 12 CD, and you say you are strategist. You took a debt from 120 to almost 600 billion, and you say you are a strategist. Unemployment is now about 14% when it was less than 10%. Youth unemployment is almost 42%. Food inflation is over 50%. And you say you are a strategist. We want Bawumia to win. Because
Bawumia to win.
We want him to win.
Because you think the NDC will just run over him.
The man just said that. He said you don't need to go and borrow. Build roads and toll them. And that is all. You don't need to borrow to do any roads. They are borrowing into projects that we don't even see. To the point that they have even put your $2 million into a sky train that does not exist. Phantom projects.
We'll get into that shortly.
Phantom projects. Yes, I'm just leading you into. So this is not somebody that we are afraid. This is someone who has disappointed even the president who had confidence in him. I want to know look, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo had every confidence in Bawumia. But I must say that he has scammed the president. He scammed the president. The confidence Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo had in him that, me, I am a politician. You are the one I'm bringing in as whiz-kid to come and help save situation, the economy and the rest. He has scammed him. He scammed the president. And that is why we are where we are today. Now today, he himself now wants to come and lead. Kennedy Agyapong has message for him. Kyerematen has message for him. Kwabena Agyapong has message for him.
So as far as the NDC is concerned, you want Bawumia to win?
I am saying that I'll be so glad that he wins. Because what is he going to tell Ghanaians again? To continue the lies? To continue telling them the stories that we will do this, we will do that, we will do that, when you already have the chance and you failed miserably? You see, you can give people all kinds of freebies that you want to do for them to praise you and say all the things that they have to say. But ultimately, the truth will appear.
All right.
If you have malaria and you think that by taking paracetamol and the rest to strike off the headache and the nausea that you are feeling, it means that you are treating malaria, you are deceiving yourself. When the effect of the paracetamol goes away, the malaria will show.
Do you then see Alan Kyerematen, and look, most people have forecast that it's going to be a straight fight between Alan Kyerematen, who says Edruneso, versus the vice president who says when he was sitting in the dock in 2012, pink sheets and doing all of that, no one said Edruneso. It's going to be, that is what some people have projected, it's going to be a straight fight between them. Do you think then that Alan Kyerematen would pose a stiffer threat to the NDC compared to the vice president?
Well, he says when it was court time, nobody said Edruneso.
That was what the vice president.
The court papers, who and who went to court? Was it not His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, late Jake Otanka Obi-Chebilamte, and he, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the vice president, then the running mate. These were the three people who have their names. So was he expecting another person to go and be the witness in the box?
So that's your question to the vice president.
So
he was one of the petitioners.
The petitioners.
Did he expect someone else to have their name
to have the name there? You were the petitioner. And so you expected someone else to go and be in the dock? No. So he should tell you that our vice president, and when he talks, he doesn't even know what he's talking about.
But is that a fair comment?
No, but you are the petitioner. And you appear in the dock. And you are using that to say that some people didn't appear in the dock when it came to that. How are you expecting them to appear in the dock when they are not part, the person is not a petitioner? You want to petition for another person to go into the dock. It doesn't make sense to me. So you will have him tomorrow to become president, and he will tell you now maybe it will no longer be the finance minister that is not allowing him to function. He will tell you IMF, ECOWAS chair, and the rest are not allowing him to function. Because he's giving us many, many excuses. His people are telling us that the vice president is not being listened to. If you are a vice president, you are not being listened to by your minister. Then when you become president, you come and tell us that the ECOWAS chairman is not allowing you to function. And we don't want that type of person.
How about the
Alan is equally not a threat. Look, all the persons.
But of the two, which one is the bigger threat?
All the persons, but they are all the same though. Why? Alan, there's no difference. He was in the cabinet. He should come and tell us the jobs that he's created as minister for the.
He's a two-time minister for trade
for trade and industry.
Under Kufuor,
yes,
and under this.
And that is why.
And there's a lot that has also been done.
And I'm saying, been done where?
In his administration, he's a lawyer.
One district, one factory.
He's an economist as well, and he's touting himself that look, he is the best person, all-encompassing, to lead the country.
Between him and the vice president, I would say, in terms of telling things that one they have not done or they can do know well that they cannot do, he is better. But the two of them plus others in the race there, none of them will be any force for us to worry that this one has some advantage over the other.
But
the truth of the matter,
obviously, if you prefer Bawumia to Alan Kyerematen, then it must mean that Alan poses a bigger threat to the NDC.
No. I just want him to be defeated for him to know his smoothness level.
Whom?
Because,
Alan?
yes, Bawumia.
Right.
I want him to be defeated to know his smoothness level. That is why I prefer him. Not because he comes with a weaker situation than maybe any other person. But if the party is looking into the future, then it is better for them to go for any other person other than Bawumia. It's better if they are looking into the future. But I'm not here to advise NPP, and I will not advise them. They don't have to even take my advice. It's not.
So do you think it would be? Do you think it would be suicidal if the NPP went with Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, the vice president?
Well, they have already created a suicide for their party, at least for a foreseeable future, by the performance that they have exhibited now and the way they have wasted our resources. The way they have wasted our resources and brought pain onto persons. It is not the choice they make that is leading them into that suicide room. They have already actually admitted themselves in the room already. They would only conclude it by maybe who they elect. They will only conclude that by because their performance
also
is so clear.
says that he's the biggest threat to the NDC in the Volta region. For the first time, you lost the Hohoi seat.
Well,
and he's now saying that if his party selects him, he's going to whittle away more of the votes in your the Volta region.
The parliamentary seat we lost was not because of presidential or anything.
What was it?
Don't forget that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama
that is the point, but
won,
where it is crucial,
I'm saying that, well, but our flag bearer won that seat convincingly. The gap between him and President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was over 20,000.
So you are conceding it was maybe the quality of the person you put forward?
Well, not the quality, but then there were challenges on the ground. We had a candidate.
The electoral reconfiguration?
Exactly. We had a candidate who was from Lolobi, who hails from the south side, which did not participate in voting under Hohwe. At the time we elected our candidate, all those areas were still part of Hohwe. But subsequently, they were hived off and then now added to Buim. And so you had a candidate who from start. And if you look at the votes that President Mahama and President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo got from the SAL area, President Mahama got over 10,000. President Akufo-Addo got a little over 2,000. If you add that to the Hohwe votes, the 5,000 margin victory of Honorable Peter Amewu could have been paid for, and Professor Margaret Kwaku would have won the elections. So if that was added, today the story would have completely been different. So I don't see why Alan will be celebrating because maybe they won a seat in Volta region. Check the presidential votes.
So come 2024, you're projecting that the NDC will take the seat back and not lose any other seats.
Of course.
Because in the OT region, there have been threats on some of your seats.
Despite
I'm fully aware of that.
Despite the strength of their parliamentary candidate, we still won presidential convincingly. And you know, it's so difficult to have such a good candidate who flips a constituency with such a margin but unable to lead to the appreciation of what presidential votes significantly. So it should tell you that as for OT, that's the only region that we won all our seats. We hold a track record of winning all the 8
some of them
seats.
narrowly.
Well,
some of them
well, whether narrow or what, we have won the 6.
Let me just ask you there, even as we get ready to get into Parliament, Parliament is on a knife edge right now in terms of the numbers, and I don't need to, it will be like preaching to the choir. It's on a knife edge with the latest by-election in Asin North. It's that close. You look at places like Asawase with Manaf of the NPP, and you know how he's being pushed to become the parliamentary candidate there to face off with Muntaka Mubarak. And ahead of the election, it's going to be really tough.
Yeah.
Can you scrape through?
Well, it's been always tough, and Muntaka has always won. And every other time look, today Muntaka recently just got an award being recognized as one of the influencers, I think, in Africa or something of that matter. Muntaka is seen as the face of Ghana at ECOWAS Parliament. And even the African Parliament also, he represents us so strongly. So this is someone who has not disappointed the people who have elected him. And I know they would not disappoint him this time round too. He's going to win the Asawase seat. And we are targeting to add more seats to what we have in Ashanti region.
All right, let me get on to 2 issues in Parliament. In the next 5 minutes, let's address them. And then I'll end with the anti-gay bill and the mid-year budget. But the 2 issues in Parliament.
Well, we must look at the Sky Trees.
It's one of the 2 issues I'm talking about. So the $2 million paid in 2019 as a premium to acquire ordinary shares for the development of the Accra Sky Train project. I want you to take a look at that, and then we'll talk about Jachikwason and the fact that your members of Parliament on your end keep missing sittings. You've received a threat from the Speaker of Parliament. Now, you can't miss more than 15 of those sittings. I don't know how you're going to manage, but what is your take on these 2?
Well, I don't think it was a threat from Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker only...
So whichever way you may refer to it as, he's reminding you that he only absent.
No, he only indicated the rules that if you want to be marked absent with permission, these are the processes you should go through. So he only reminded, and for me, it was not even necessary for colleagues to have raised the issue of how they have been captured on the day you had boycotted, because we didn't enter the chamber. That was our position.
Right.
And once you didn't enter the chamber, you are absent. It doesn't matter. You are absent. So I really didn't think that we should have even been raising the issue.
So for you, every time you guys go in support of your minority leader, Dr. Atoforsen or Jachikwason, you should be marked absent.
If once we don't return to the chamber and you don't sign in, you'll be marked absent. Unless you put in permission, then you could be marked absent with permission. So the Speaker just reminded us of our rules.
Right.
That if you want to be marked present, you have to sign in.
So moving forward, is that what you as members
of the NDC, we will
is that what you've agreed on doing?
Well, we are continuing to boycott. Our leadership will give indication as to if the reasons for which we are boycotting, if we see any light, we would review and adapt other strategies. If we are not seeing, we may add other things to what it is that we are already doing.
You are hampering government business, the flow of government.
Well, government
How do you feel about
government
that?
is hampering its business because it is the government side, the prosecution, that decided that they were requesting for a daily hearing of a matter that
But
in
that
the
is a
seventh
court process. That
no,
is a court
in the seventh
How does it
parliament.
impact you in Parliament?
Who requests for it? What I'm saying is that in the seventh parliament, Speaker Michael Kwe had arrangement with the judiciary and the executive arm, which is in charge of prosecution, Attorney General, that because of the nature of parliamentary business, if a member of parliament is to appear in court to answer matters, it should be fixed on Mondays or when we are on recess, so that it does not distract him from performing business of the House. But if you decide to set aside this acceptable rule and now decide that on daily basis they must come, when he is supposed to also serve his people, we must go with him to make sure that it is not done to him. Because if we leave that, oh, he's just alone, the rest of us 136 can stay and do business. Tomorrow they will pick you, they will pick another, and they will pick the third. There will be nobody there to speak for you. So it is important.
This position is one that you're going to continue with?
We will until it is reviewed. Because it must be reviewed. We think that it's unfair to the people of Asen North, it's unfair to the Honorable Jachikwason to ask him that on daily basis he must appear in court when he has to perform his representative rules. It's unfair. So we will continue to, today is another court day. We haven't seen any directive from leadership that we have changed our strategy, so it means we are keeping to it.
So you'll be in court today?
We will be in court.
I'm asking you.
Yes, I'll be in court.
All right. Let's look at the SkyTrain saga.
Well, it's
you brought it up in Parliament.
Yeah, it's one of the scams. Yesterday we dealt with.
You call it a scam?
Yes, it's a scam.
Why is it a scam?
And it's a scam because, Master, there have not been any feasibility. There is nothing. The company have no license. We don't know it from anywhere, and you just give away $2 million. Just give away $2 million, and nothing has happened, and nobody. And the current minister for railway development is saying that we can't have any SkyTrain now. The CEO of GIF yesterday is saying, "Oh, it's a project that is still alive." Who is telling us the truth? Is it the minister who is to make the money available for the so-called feasibility, who is saying that we can't have it, or you who have gone to put our money in a scam? Then you finish doing this and you come and blame COVID. Was it COVID that asked them to go and put $2 million in such a project? Was it Ukraine and Russia, Putin or the Ukrainian president, they asked that we should go and put $2 million. Zelensky asked us to go and put $2 million in such a scam. Was this Zelensky or Putin that asked us to go and put $25 million in Pullman Hotel project that has come to a stall?
So if the project does take off, first off, do you know where those $2 million are? And if the project does take off, will that suffice then to remove the tag of a scam?
No, yesterday it was clear that nothing, because even the chief executive of GIF doesn't even know what is happening. The minister, Amewu, spoke not too long ago, and he made it clear that, look, we should forget about SkyTrains. So it's clear there that this is a scam. And not only that, look, GIF made other investment for which they do not even have certificate. Look, at the time they were telling us SS capacity, they were investing so much of our money in another power generation. 23 million of our money was put into another power generation when they were telling us that there's SS capacity. If I say this is a scam, either you are scamming us with SS capacity, which we have always said so, or you are scamming us with the monies that you are
what then is the next step? What then is the next step for the minority in terms of this sum of $2 million? Well, and how we can recoup it?
We've asked that
the ordinary taxpayer.
It must be recouped, possibly with even interest, and persons behind it must be dealt with.
Which persons? Which outfits are you targeting?
Whoever sat and approved the payment of that $2 million will have to answer, including the sector minister who's prepared that project. Yes, of course. You'll have to answer for it. You have to answer for it. And so we cannot, you don't do all these things and come back and blame COVID. You don't waste your money this way. And then you come and sit there and say, oh, COVID. Every time we talk, you say COVID. Every time we talk,
staying on the
COVID.
bit of money.
Can you imagine if you had invested these $2 million in, say, a fruit processing company, maybe even tomato in Pualugu, so that people are assured that we can, when we grow our tomato, we will get a factory that will process it. Wouldn't that be more profitable for us? Today, we are spending so much money, over $400 million importing tomatoes just from Burkina. Just from Burkina. How?
And mentioning Pualugu reminds me of the multi-purpose dam, almost $1 billion that we've not got. But just staying on the bit of, I know you are on a time leash, so I'm trying to work within your time. Just before you go, so two issues I want you to look at. We're talking money. Ken Oforiatta, the Minister of Finance, will be presenting the mid-year budget on July the 25th. What are your expectations? And finally, staying again in Parliament, the moderator of the Global Evangelical Church has said you as members of Parliament should pass the anti-LGBTQ bill without further delay. Those reactions, and we wrap it up.
Well, for the Finance Minister, we don't expect anything much or different from him. What it is what it is, we already know. If it's not going to get worse, And so we are waiting for him to come and present his constitutional demand on him. Mr. Speaker have indicated we are going on recess on the 3rd, and so 25th has been given as the date that he would appear before us to present the media review. So when he brings it and to tell us how he's going to deal with all these debt situations, we will take it up from there. The issue of LGBTQ, I think we are more than ready. The second reading has gone through and approved. So what we are going to be doing is the consideration stage where we'll be dealing clause by clause. And what I can say is that I am sure we cannot conclude that process in this meeting. Surely in the next meeting, we will be able to deal with it. As for those who are hiding behind other persons to go to court and say contempt.
Who are these other people? Do you think some members of government, some members of parliament are doing that?
I suspect so. And
but if you don't have the evidence,
I have reasonable reasons to
evidence
suspect
is the rule of the
that.
game.
I'm saying that I have reasonable, because sometimes the position and the leaning of some of those persons who are in court makes me believe that we know certain things outside of. I know that this person is connected to this person is connected to that. So if today I find you taking a certain step, there is reasonable justification for me to suspect. And that is what I'm doing. And if that is not the case, when it comes up, we must all know that Parliament has a duty and responsibility to perform its function. And we are performing that function. The judicial arm cannot dictate to Parliament how it should perform its duty. We cannot be performing our role of lawmaking. Then if someone is unhappy, then you rush to another arm to say they should come and injunct us from performing our function. No. We are making a law. Okay. We are in the process of that lawmaking. Let us go through the process. If we don't do the right thing in the course of that process, you can challenge a particular thing we did not do right. Like in the narcotics amendment bill that we did recently. The judicial arm thought that there was one particular section that we didn't do right. So we have to go through the process in the right way. And we have done it. You can't stop us from performing our duty.
Kofi Adams, we're grateful for your time. We've exhausted quite a number of matters this morning.
There was only one issue that I really wanted. The last time I raised the issue
Kofi, your time, it's your time,
supply of unregistered tomatoes and unwholesome tomatoes to schools by the buffer stock. The Deputy Minister for Education was with me on one of your platforms, and he challenged me that it was not true. I brought the Auditor General's report to show us evidence. That's paragraph 906 to 911. That dealt with that issue of supply of unregistered tomato paste to schools like Hila Liman Senior High School and what have you. And they have to order its withdrawal. And this was the supplier was National Buffer Stock. National Buffer Stock. And it's there, clear in the Auditor General's report.
Okay. Thanks for that clarity, Mr. Adams. Kofi Adams is Member of Parliament for Buem, and he joined us for this conversation. Once more, thanks for coming, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And let me just reiterate, like I did at the start of the program, we invited the other side, the NPP. They did not facilitate us with any representation. So that is why it was just Kofi Adams in the studio. But speaking about the different sides, different thinking on different matters, the Osajefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, recently he came to the fore again. He always has been, but in reference to the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park. We decided to go there. And my colleague Bernice Abubedu-Lanza had an interaction, fortunately, with two of the Osajefo's children, Samia Nkrumah and Sekou Nkrumah. Now, an interesting bit in there. There are those who have said the man showed tendencies of being a dictator or a despot, while others have vehemently pushed back against that. It was interesting because that question was posed to these two children, and curiously, they also had different takes on the matter. That conversation with Bernice Abubedu-Lanza, together with Samia Nkrumah and Sekou Nkrumah, is up next on the AM show. Do stay.
had the pleasure of seeing some of Osagyefo's artifacts that he used, items, his clothing. It's a beautiful experience when you enter the museum. Cameras aren't allowed in there for obvious reasons. You need to come here to experience it yourself. This was not planned. I stepped out and guess who I see here? I see Samia and Seku Nkrumah, children of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame. I'm just so pleased to see them here. I see them on TV, I see them on social media, never had the chance to see them in person, and I get to do that today. Hello, good to see you.
Hello, Joy.
Yes, it's such a pleasure having you here. I have enjoyed every bit of this scenery, trust me. And I told them it's such a beautiful experience for me because I didn't grow up knowing Nkrumah. So I get to learn about him and I get to have at least the best first-hand interaction I can with who he was and what he stood for. But for you as his children, I can imagine what it feels like for you to be here today. Do you mind sharing with us?
Oh, absolutely. And we've been here many times, but this is one of the first times, let's say for me it's the second, to be in this redeveloped and restructured Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park and Mausoleum. And I'm encouraged. I'm happy with what I see because precisely what you said is the reason why we need a good place for the young generation to come and be reintroduced to Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah, what he stood for, what he tried to do for Ghana and Africa and Africans all over the world. So this is a place of learning, and I think that's the whole purpose. And the reason why I am happy and encouraged, it's because I know that people who come here would be inspired. I am inspired. Of course, there's the personal side and the political, but I'm inspired just coming here, paying homage to not just to the man, but to what he stood for. Because he was a mortal man, obviously, but he also stood for a vision to redeem Africa and Africans. And I think that's something we need to keep on remembering.
All right. What about you, Seku?
Well, I mean, going back to your introduction, I mean, you said you're too young to know Nkrumah. And when Nkrumah was overthrown, I was only 2 years old. I think Samia was 5, Kyerematen was 6. So let me speak for myself. I didn't know anything about Nkrumah. So I got to know Nkrumah from reading books, not as a kid, but when I grew up a bit, especially when we returned to Ghana. So I was like 11, 12. So that's really was my getting to know Nkrumah, reading the books. But interesting for me, I started reading books that were critical of Nkrumah before I started reading books by Nkrumah and books that promoted Nkrumah. So I always think that I'm very objective in that. But I think what Samuel was saying earlier, it's important to have places like that that really not only promotes Nkrumah, but gives people the idea of where he's coming from, what his vision was. So the decolonization, the Pan-African Union, and of course the socialist path. It's something that I struggled with for a long time because in today's world, socialism is not so attractive. But look, we have to look at the totality of Nkrumah, and then we can decide what to do moving forward. So he said he was a Marxist intellectual. We can't ignore these things about Nkrumah. That's what he represented. But again, also, you know, the Mausoleum was built in 1992. Nkrumah was first buried, he was buried in Guinea, then buried in Nkrumah, his hometown, during Achampon's time. And then during the Rawlings' time, the PNDC, not NDC, right. So sometimes we also have to give credit to the PNDC then, even if you don't like Rawlings or whatever, but it was his time that he built this place. And then, of course, as I agree with Sammy, that if the present government, NPP, led by Nana Akufo-Addo, so if they've built on what someone else has done, I think it's a good thing. But for me personally, there was just one aspect that I kind of confused me a bit, and that was I wouldn't know the reason the NPP are thinking of or thought of building up, renovating this place and making it better than it was. I hear it was a bit neglected, right? But the point here is that if you're talking about Nkrumah, you know, Professor Mills declared the 21st as the Founders Day, singular. So the idea was that, and that I think many people think, I told I'm very objective. But in this one, I think Nkrumah is the founder. He led Ghana to independence. He was Ghana's first president. So that again comes to the 1st July, removed as a public holiday. I mean, we had a Ghanaian as head of state, not the Queen. So you see, that is very significant. And then again, when you create 4th August as founders, then plural, then that also confuses people. Because, of course, Nkrumah is not the only one who contributed to independence. And in fact, people were there before him. In fact, they called him from the UK. But they identify with his capacity and his hard work. And in fact, he overtook them simply because of their hard work. But the point is that, so when you do these things, for me, it's like you're confusing, because the history is one.
So if I get you right, and I'm sure you're not the only one, because quite a lot of people were like, okay, because we thought that the agenda was not to focus so much on Nkrumah, make it more generalistic, as this government will make us believe, and then all of a sudden, all this beautiful edifice for Nkrumah, what exactly are you communicating? Is that what it is?
Yes, I think it's more or less, yeah.
But I think what I would like to see and what I'm happy about is that Ghanaians can reach consensus on what is good for us, because that's the way forward. We might have different political orientations, different ideologies. You have NDC, NPP, other smaller parties. But the fact of the matter is, for us to progress, we have to agree on certain things. I'm happy today we agree that Nkrumah, what he stood for, what he championed, that Africans must unite, work together, is something we all agree on. So for me, that is progress. One of the things that really made me proud and happy to be a Ghanaian is that I'm thinking, okay, Ghanaians are united in paying their respects to Kwame Nkrumah and what he did for us and what he can still do for us, because his ideas are for the future. Are our states united? If we were united, we would have been borrowing as a bloc at very favorable rates, interest rates. We would have been building our industries together instead of separately, unable to pay our debts back. So what he championed is for the future. It's for you, for your generation. So I'm happy. Everybody has played a part in honoring Nkrumah. And this is the culmination of it, a redesigned, redeveloped, more beautiful park and mausoleum, and even a library, which is something we had suggested that we need a Kwame Nkrumah presidential library, because Kwame Nkrumah was not just any leader, he was an international statesman. And let us learn and recover from him, his ideas, how he went about doing things, how he came to have friends all over the world, friends of Africa and Ghana. So this place for me symbolizes unity, in a way, unity of Ghana, unity of Africa and Africa.
So here's what I told my... all right, okay.
It's okay, but we have to go back to this bit that you don't confuse us with the past.
All right.
That's, if it's true what Sam is saying, is honoring Nkrumah and all that and his vision, but for us to understand really his vision, then we have to understand who Kwame Nkrumah was and what he represented. So when you try to confuse us with the past or distort the past, I think that's not good enough. So sometimes, even if people don't like it, but we have to accept that Nkrumah is the founder. We have to accept that there's significance in 1st of July, because I was telling you earlier why. Yes, so these things, when you try to distort them and then bring in the 4th August to confuse people further, then although I agree, you are honoring Nkrumah and so on, but at the same time, you're also taking a bit out and confusing people. And young people have to know the truth or what stood. We don't have to all agree on it, but we can't agree. We can have differences, but we cannot distort the past. That's why it's of significant to understand that point.
Right. Okay. So here's what I told my tour guide when I went in there, and I've seen that video when the Queen died. It kept playing on the BBC, the video of your father dancing with the Queen, and how he's the only black man to have done that. And then I see that his Cadillac was gifted him by the president, former president of the US. And then I'm like, okay, so the impression I was given as a young child was this Pan-African is hated whites, right? So I'm beginning to reconcile what I'm seeing and what I heard, and I'm like, okay, what I think is that he was more of an assertive person, and he won't hate you, but whether you were his friend or not, he would tell it to your face that he didn't like your neo-colonialism agenda. But when it came to, for example, dancing with the Queen, he will dance with the Queen. Someone will say, why will you dance with someone who colonized you? But then again, I see that he wasn't a hater.
Thank you.
Let me ask you, Sekou, because you spoke about the fact that you read the books critical of him before you read the books written by him. What impression do you have of your dad? Honest impression.
Yeah, no problem. But first of all, it's not hate, but you have to confront what is wrong.
Yeah, right.
Yes. So the issue is not he doesn't hate white, but he hates what they do. Right. If it's the Western world or whatever, the colonialist.
All whites. It's the system. You know, the system that is exploiting us. There, but the ordinary white people, workers going about their business, what have they done? You know, they are oppressed themselves.
But the Queen represents that colonialism. She's the head.
Yes.
Yes.
No, but as a statesman, you need to do diplomacy.
Yes, that's a different thing.
People
Right.
People go to war. The same people who go to war with each other sit around the table and make peace.
But you have to stand for what is right and what is wrong. Yes, it doesn't mean you are quarreling with people, but you have to define that these
in
people
negotiations, everyone speaks their mind, and then people find common ground. So dancing with the Queen doesn't mean I cannot speak against neo-colonialism or oppression or exploitation.
And that's exactly what he did.
And I'm happy you came. You seem to have come to that conclusion too. You see, so when people say Kwame Nkrumah was too radical, or there's nothing wrong with radical, by the way. I think it's fresh and beautiful, but not pragmatic. I respond that Kwame Nkrumah was very pragmatic, you know, because he was a leader of a country which needed to develop. And he said, we neither face east nor west, we face forward, meaning he's ready to do business with whoever can help us achieve our aim of raising the standard of the living of the people. You know, so
true, but at some point he also broke away from the Commonwealth. So you see, people don't stand in one place; they develop all the time, and their ideas and vision. It might not change completely, depart completely from the vision, but you have to readjust at moments. So sometimes he might have been diplomatic, maybe towards the end, and that comes to your question. Nkrumah at some point introduced the one-party state, which is seen as. I mean, I grew up in an era where, or got introduced to politics, that democracy was the key for me. And that's why I championed return of Ghana to the multi-party democracy and so on. But I'm saying, talking about Nkrumah, that is someone else. But if you're talking about Nkrumah, towards the end, his ideas changed and he shifted. I mean, he's always been a Marxist socialist, but he then turned Ghana into a one-party state. Some people are not comfortable with that. And I, at some point, criticized that. But the coup, which kind of, the statue was brought down, Nkrumah's, I mean, everybody was running down Nkrumah, those when they succeeded in the coup. But the point is that, yes, he did close the door on opposition. So in the past, I said, in a sense, if you look at it, you can justify the coup only from that point of view. But if you're looking at the bigger picture, then we have to understand he introduced the one-party state because of that socialist path that. So you had to
put it in context. But we have to put in, when we talk about the one-party state, we have to put it in context. It's not because of his socialist ideas. No, the fact of the matter is Kwame Nkrumah had invited even the opposition and was in parliament. They were debating. He had invited some of them to join, but it was born out of it was born out of this particular situation where one-party states also were in vogue in many other countries. It's just we like to criticize Nkrumah about it, but let's look at the other African countries. It was the thing, the done thing after independence, when development, speedy, rapid development, was a priority above all else. And the way he introduced it through parliament, through debate, he was trying to bring the best minds in the country to work together for a common goal.
Agree with him. And you see, introduce it. No, I'm sorry to cut you.
Democracy. The way we practice multi-party democracy today has to be refined because it's at loggerheads with our indigenous knowledge systems of how we practice democracy, which is reaching consensus. We discuss and we debate until we reach common ground. So multi-party politics today is the winner takes all. I win, you are nothing, you are vanquished. And I'm trying to tell you that
the one party is dictatorship. You can't say it's not dictatorship.
Every system system, including multi-party democracy, has some undemocratic elements in it. We can talk till tomorrow, but let us look at its totality. Let's not just say Kwame Nkrumah one-party state without taking it out of context.
No, I'm not taking
because
out of context
this,
because I'm saying it's
because
socialist.
this.
It's the socialist part.
No, socialism,
it's dictatorship, but that's
socialism
what it chose to be. So let's know Nkrumah for what he was. Let's not create an Nkrumah that I want him to be.
So those are your impressions of him based on what you read, not what...
based on reality. Did we not have a one-party state under Nkrumah?
No, I'm saying that because you were saying that you got to know him through writing because you were only 2 when he was overthrown.
Nkrumah introduced the one-party state. Right. Nkrumah became life president. These are facts. It's not what you read. And I'm saying that is dictatorial, but I'm saying it's because of his ideas of that socialist path for our development, not only for Ghana, but Africa.
So he chose it because for him it was a path to development.
Yes, he was a Marxist intellectual, and he chose the socialist path. We can't redefine Nkrumah as that's what I'm saying, but so it was dictatorial. But it doesn't mean that it's wrong, because that was his philosophy, and people have their philosophy. As today we have a multi-party system, that's the Western, inherited from the Western system. Nkrumah was against that. He didn't believe. He developed a point where he realized socialism is the path. So what I'm saying, for us to understand his greatness...
That's why everything was pushed through Parliament
not
today.
Western democracy.
No,
that's
but even
kind of democracy.
every legislation, everything he promoted was done through Parliament. Right. This is a man who won 3 with his party.
So you
3
disagree
elections.
with the word dictatorial?
Strongly, because it's the manner in which he introduced most of his policies, or everything actually, was pushed through Parliament. So he used constitutional means, and we can check the records. So are we saying that today, when any government of the day pushes through things which the opposition vehemently opposes, that they are...
no opposition then.
But
so
there was an opposition. There were different parties.
They had no room
to
operate.
There was a referendum. There were... Everything was pushed.
I don't agree with you, but I guess people differ, even siblings.
But, yes.
But I actually love this because we are engaging in very honest, beautiful discussions, all because of one man. And I dare say that I see that strong-willed impression that I have of who he is in the 2 of you, and that's why it's beautiful to see that though you're siblings, you're putting your points out across beautifully and hearing each other. But
I'm being bullied a bit.
no, bully. No, but that's what we do most of the time.
I can imagine what your home looked like when you were young.
Yes, exactly. No, but we love each other and we love Ghana, and we just, really, most of us, we want to see progress. We want to see.
That brings me to my next point. Beyond the mausoleum, right? How do we cement what Dr. Kwame Nkrumah stood for? Because he just said that he made some of these statements, and the quotes I see on the wall there many years ago, but I can resonate with them so beautifully. There was one I saw that I said I was going to borrow for my conversations on Galamsey, the issue of the commonness of resources and how it must not be used for the selfish gain of others. And then the one I see about the fact that, look, we've moved beyond this point. It doesn't mean that we have it. We will face challenges, but we have the courage. Look, it gives me such confidence. You have no idea. When I read that, I was like, wow, this man, he definitely had something, right? Which was the ability to see beyond even his generation and probably mine. So
I think fantastic.
Yeah. So how do we cement his legacy beyond this, right? How do we take it out to the rest of the world?
As you like. I'm always edging. Okay, let him go first.
So, yes, so the truth is that... No, I don't believe it. Women first. But in this case, the fact of the matter, we've embraced a multi-party system of democracy. But we all know where it's going now, at least talking about Ghana now. It's NDC, NPP, we've changed NDC, NPP, and we are not really making much progress, right? So my point is that because that's the Western concept that we've embraced and we've imposed on our system. I think if you're talking about Nkrumah's legacy, then the thinking should be moving away from that Western concepts and the new colonialism. We should break away from that, those colonial chains. So he, as I said, chose that socialist path. I don't know today what we can choose, but it's obviously something different from what we have now. But I'm saying that with all honesty. But the truth is that I believe the way the world is now, we're going to be stuck with the multi-party system for a while. And I don't think any of us wants a coup d'etat or change of government through violent revolutionary ways. But we need to address this problem. We can't go on like this. I mean, look, I just came a few weeks and, I mean, the living conditions are just too hard for the average Ghanaian. So it doesn't make sense. What has multi-party served us since 19... Well, but we are talking about Ghana now and the legacy of Nkrumah. I mean, for Ghana, and then of course we can talk about Africa. But it's not, as you rightly say, then it's not really far in other African countries. We're still in the same. So that's why it gives the opportunity. And the former American president who says Africa is a, excuse me to say, oh, yeah. And then when you look around, then you realize that, oh, I mean, he's wrong. But the idea, and why are we in this as...
So do you agree with analysts who say that we must begin to define what democracy means for us as a people and how to make it, you know, within the African context, to look at what democracy is for us? Is that what I get?
What I'm saying is the past should definitely be different. This is a Western concept of democracy.
Yeah, so that means that we must define what democracy is for us.
But are we capable of doing that? That's the point. We're struggling with that.
We have very intelligent people. We have intellectuals. We have, yes, why not?
But the consensus thing, that's why.
But we need consensus.
No, consensus will not get us anywhere. You have a leadership that's determined that this is the path, I want to go there and take my people with you, yes. But of course, the people have to be inspired by that.
We can review our constitution to allow for to tweak the winner takes all. We can introduce proportional representation. There are many ways of being more inclusive. So we can do that. We have the men and women who have the ability, intellectual ability to do that. So yes, we must change our constitution to suit our context and conditions, which I believe requires consensus. But your question, very important. We need to recover Nkrumah's ideas. So we need to study him. We need to read him. We need to debate him. You don't have to agree with him. You don't have to agree at all. We will never agree on anything. But studying, examining, assessing his thoughts, we must. Because this is an exceptional leader by all accounts, you know, and someone who came in with a great Pan-African spirit and thought to liberate and unite. So we need to study him, because when we do that, then we will know what we can recover, what we can adapt, and what we can leave, you see?
Because liberate, unite, and socialist path. You see, you want to remove that one from Nkrumah's legacy. You can't.
Nobody. I love socialism, but but I cannot stay in my corner. I have to talk to capitalists. I have to talk to moderates. We have to talk to, because
and I talk to them and you end up in this situation. You're embracing their philosophy and their ideology, and
you're almost not moving anywhere.
Continue exploiting you.
Now the winner takes all. Removes consensus from the table. So we are not practicing consensus building. The winner takes all is not working for us. So this is one of the things that needs to change.
The multi-party system is not working for us either. The Western democracy is not working in Africa. So
what do you suggest, right?
Are you talking about the legacy of Nkrumah? No, I'm saying she said it right. Liberation, unity, but she deliberately missed the socialist path. Because today we're animal.
No, we don't miss it. I love socialism.
For parliament,
so,
right?
So you're going back to parliament?
I hope so. By God's grace, I will try. 2024 as an independent candidate. Okay. And independent means for the whole of Ghana, for everybody.
You're leaving your party?
I am not really in the party, because I've seen that the smaller parties are not truly independent. So there is no need to maintain that facade. Right. You know,
so there are the links of the smaller parties to the two main parties, so which feeds into the dual political structure.
You know better than me.
But you are the authority, so I can quote you as saying it.
But also, we need to go beyond that, because if we are saying we need to agree, have common ground, then we need to be a bit less dogmatic about party politics. Right. We need to be less partisan. So one way of doing that is to start thinking of some independent-minded people who can bring everyone together, not divide. We definitely need to be less partisan. But I want to go back to your very important question. You see, if you study Nkrumah, you will see things that need to be done today we haven't done. One of them is working with other African countries. Today we have the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. That is really something he put forward in Addis Ababa 1963. If you read all the tenets, that's something that's Nkrumah's vision. Today, we are sitting and discussing it and making countries ratify it. So this is the link, Nkrumah, the past and the future. Another thing is industrialization and manufacturing. Don't we all agree that we must go into manufacturing, add value? We are doing it. Another thing is education. State or private? Free education. It's state or private now doesn't matter. Even under Nkrumah, there was private entrepreneurs, and they were private because we had just come out of colonialism.
You see,
we had just come out of the.
We can't pretend to follow Nkrumah when we are following the West.
But do you think if Nkrumah was alive today, where he it's a hypothetical. Yeah, would he have moved on from the socialist path?
He would have redefined the socialist path for today, but he would never have been a non-socialist. He would have still been a socialist.
We've never had pure capitalism or pure socialism.
And that's why we're in a mess.
You see, what is
then you don't understand the legacy.
What is free SHS? That's a socialist-oriented policy. What is free healthcare? That's a socialist-oriented. So let us free our minds and not
doing it properly. That's why
we have never. Yeah, that's another debate. But we've never had pure this or pure that. Yeah. Can we move beyond even the isms and start thinking about what is good for our country?
Then that's why we're in this mess. That's my point. We've embraced Western philosophies, and then yet we are saying that Nkrumah was our greatest visionary. I think there's a conflict there.
All right, but we all conclude that Nkrumah must be celebrated, and we are happy about the mausoleum and the monument here. Look, guys, I could go on. You know, this is intellectually stimulating. I mean, when you hear two children of the Osajifo himself have a very, spirited conversation, and where they're firmly on their paths, you understand why it's important for us to have conversations like this as a people. But it's been an exciting moment for me here today at the Kwame Nkrumah Park and Mausoleum. I'm going to end it here and have some fun, but I will stay in touch with the two of you, obviously, because you, Samia, still want to go to Parliament. We must have conversations, but that'll be it here on the Joy News channel. Continue the conversations, though. Continue the debates in your homes. Thanks for watching. Hi there, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for staying here on the Joy News channel and on the AM show. I'm Bernice Abubedu-Lanza, and just gone by, you saw that interaction I had with Sekou and Samia Nkrumah, children of the former president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. We're talking about his legacy, what he should be remembered for, and what a beautiful coincidence yet again. I have old students of the Ghana National College. He founded that school, and the school is 75 years, so talk about his legacy and impact. Well, I've been joined by Nane Fua Khan. She's with the 2003-year group. Nana Kojo Wadie is also president of the 2003-year group. But they're here to speak on behalf of the entire Nananum. And Nananum here are all those who've completed the Ghana National College. Good to have you. Great to have you here. So you just tell me, briefly, before we go into the anniversary and everything that you have going for it, what was your experience like in school?
Well, okay, I'll throw it to FA if you wouldn't mind.
All right, you want to start?
Okay, so Ghana National College, I can't stop talking about Ghana National College without having oral bumps all around me, because it is an experience I would never forget. Very beautiful experience, teaching, learning, socialization, everything is just on point. So for me, from SU to entertainment to classroom learnings, even our dining hall sessions were beautiful moments, because every time was an entertainment time for us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. What about you, Nana?
Well, like you said, everything was entertainment. Learning was fun. Getting to meet, I mean, it's a co-ed school, so obviously you sit in class with the opposite sex. Sharing experience with them has always been exciting, and it feels good to be a part of the school that was founded by the first president of Ghana. It's always something that we rock on ourselves with pride, and it's such an experience to have been in that school, if I may say. Yeah.
I know quite a number of Nananum, but one of them, who is my friend on Facebook, Mary Drua, and she's quite vocal about her love for the school, so I know that she loves the school so much. Yeah. But let's talk about your 75th anniversary. And first off, what's the theme, Nana? Nana Kujo, sorry, you're both Nana, so I need to be specific.
The theme is 75 years of holistic education, raising leaders for the 21st century. As you can see, the school turned 75 this year, July. That was exactly 75 years ago when Nkrumah started the school. And as part of celebrating, we've put together a number of activities which we're going to share with everybody. And that's why we are here. That's practically why we are here.
Right, right. But for you, why is this theme important in this time, right? Why did you settle on holistic education and looking at how it even impacts, you know, young people in this generation?
Okay, thank you, Bernice. I think that it's just apt for it because looking at the period of 75 years, the human resource that has been churned out of this college have been, most of them are illustrious sons of this nation. To even think that Dr. Nkrumah himself planted or invested his £10 to put this school up because he was on his way to, emancipation during the struggle for independence and etc. And looking from there, the people that came out till now, I think we've really nurtured people for this time because of the kind of ideology and the kind of schooling that we go through when we are in.
Since you've brought up the issue of the £10 Nkrumah invested, just tell us a bit about how the school was founded, Nana Kujo. Just if someone is hearing about the Ghana National College for the first time, they know what we are talking about.
This is the part of the school that I really love to share. I mean, it happens that our school stands in the center of the independence struggle of this country. You know, in 1948, there was a riot which broke out when Nkrumah and his cohorts were arrested by the then British colonial government for inciting, what was to be the independence proper of our country. So a few students were part of the struggle and they were dismissed from their schools. And then Nkrumah thought it wise, after his release, he said, I won't let this talent, this brilliant minds go to waste. So he sought to put his own £10 to start the school. So he gave the £10 to some of the teachers who would become the founding teachers, Kwesi Planche, H.P. Nelson, Saki Dems, and all of those people. He gave his £10 to them to start the school. They bought furnitures, did all the things they had to do. And then I think on the 16th of July in that year, 1948, the school was started. And as Efe was coming, we've churned out some great minds. Professor Alote, as you all know, the great mathematician, and Nana Egbetfebo, a lawyer, who is currently our national president. All of these names have come out of our school. So it's been 75 years of doing what's great for the country and standing in the history struggle of our country. And as you may have heard, the name Ghana was given or was conferred on our school even before Ghana got the name Ghana at independence. We got the name Ghana in 48. Ghana got independence in a whole 9 years after that. Nkrumah
Your school is really special there.
Very, very.
Very. Thank you for sharing that because I didn't know about the bit of the Ghana. So it means that you had the name Ghana National College.
Exactly.
It wasn't changed when we gained independence.
No.
Wow.
No. A few other schools have the name Ghana attached to theirs now. Some of them way back. But all of those names, I must say, some of them were changed from certain names to the Ghana.
To the Ghana,
Nkrumah or whoever added the names, thought it was right to add. But ours, we had the name Ghana before our independence.
You must have been really dear to his heart then.
Nkrumah is a special person.
Oh, that's so are we.
Yeah. That's why you're called Nananum. But why Nananum though? Is there a reason why
you're all called Nananum, royalty, or what's the concept behind that?
I mean, it's our forebears.
Okay.
Who fought for the struggle for us to
Okay.
see. So then, on behalf of them.
Right.
So by default, anybody who goes through this becomes a Nana.
So not only was your school named Ghana before Ghana was Ghana, you were also from a crop of people who fought for independence and helped us get to this point. Wow. So let's go back to the anniversary proper. I know usually for many schools there's a legacy project that will be put together and all that. 75 is a lot of years to have existed. So I'm thinking that this will be a massive project, right, Nana Kojo?
Yeah, it is.
What is it you mind sharing with us?
What I would want
to
take
right.
Okay, so for our 75th, like he rightly said, the number of program outlined for it and the number of projects also to be handed over and unveiled by various year groups. We are doing a science laboratory, which is one of the biggest by the whole Nananum body, and we are having His Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic, to help us do the unveiling for this science block. We've always been saying that in the era when we are talking about STEM education, it comes in so handy that all students who are great stakeholders of the education system in this country have thought it wise to also push forward to get to this realization of our STEM outcomes. So the whole body, the entire body, Nananum worldwide, put together a science laboratory to aid the teaching of science. Other year groups, for example, the 2003 year group will be unveiling a school crest at the entrance of the school. Very beautiful. You should visit us to see it. The 93 year group, they are also unveiling a fish pond that would also help in the learning of science in the school. We have some renovations of some of our blocks there. We have the unveiling of a plaque by the Nananum Tema. They are unveiling a plaque that is going to be seeing the speeches and the writings and the quotations from Osajifo.
Dr. Kwame.
Yes, and then the mobilization of 500 monodesk for our students to aid teaching and learning.
That's wonderful. So we see the ad running through showing the program outline, all right, and so we see there's a football match as well, and also a speech and prize given in a fundraising dinner, all right. Okay, that's July 23. Hey, Omutu and Fufu and Pool Party. Wow. This is a very beautiful art, though. I like it.
Thank you.
It's really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, what does pro patria mean?
Well, on behalf of our forefathers.
Okay. On behalf of our forefathers. So, run me through what the tradition is like. When you go through the school, is it really something that you are made to assimilate? Like, what is the process of informing you about how the school was formed and making sure that that tradition of resilience in your forebears and living up to that particular motto, is executed properly? What's the process like?
Okay, so right at entry, we all go through orientation session. We are told about our history. We are told about our patriarch, that is Osajifo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, his ideals and what his vision for Ghana and for development is. So we go through all of that. But since it's a culture, others have learned it before you met them. So when you go through it, it's just easy to just assimilate and then go through with all of those ideologies and those,
So you've told us about the guest speakers to be present, and that the main personality, that's the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. But tell us about other guest speakers who will be gracing your 75th anniversary.
Well, we have our national president himself, Nana Egbert Fable, lawyer, and then we have a few other names off the top of my mind I can't get. But we have I think we have a professor from University of Cape Coast. I can't get his name off my mind right now, but quite a number of dignitaries that will be coming through to speak to us, because we even have the Nananum Connect, which will be happening, I think, on the Thursday, where old students who are, say, well-to-do in their endeavors will be speaking to students.
All right, almost like a mentoring session.
All right. Yes. So all of that, so quite a number of people, high-ranking officials coming through.
Let me just be clear on this. So you are Nana Ifwa, you are Nana Kojo. I just heard you say Nana Egbert. Is it that you all adopt the Nana?
Yes. Like that.
So you're
that's your title.
Okay, I almost fell for that. so you were not named Nana Kojo by your parents.
It's my name, but
it's your name. So you have a Nana double. Okay, Nana, but you are
one.
Okay, so it's because you're associated with the school. All right. Yes. So quickly though, you run us through the projects, everything that you're going through, but I'd just like for you to speak to your fellow Nananum and tell them why they should not miss this year's event, and just run us through the dates finally and what they should expect.
Well, yeah, I mean, wherever you are in the world watching us right now, listening to us right now, it's our 75th anniversary. And I don't think there's any reason why any Nana would want to miss this year's anniversary. It has a speech and prize giving day, so it's going to be really special. We're going to go back to the hills of Minyamenwu, as we call it. Minyamenwu, which means, I mean, literally, I didn't die. Yeah, okay. That's where the school is situated. And it's such an environment, anytime you get there, you feel at ease, you feel at home. It's more like a forest area, I should put it. So everything makes it the right place to meet friends, catch up with old friends, build new friendship, new relationships, partnerships and move on as you journey on in life. I mean, coming up as a Nana has its own feel. Like I said, for some time now, we've been a bit in the back. Now it's time for us to take the center stage or take the front line. So I would urge every Nana, whichever year group you are, especially the 2003 year group, because it's our 20th anniversary also, not to miss this year's anniversary. I mean, there's a lot that we can share together on the hills. So I would urge everyone to make it a point.
Okay. I would also want to urge our senior brothers from Infantsipim and then from St. Augustine's. They were the reason why we were birthed. So
the students that were dismissed were from Infantsipim
and then from so they are senior brothers. So we would want to invite them to come and see how well their younger siblings have grown to become. They should come and let us all share this beautiful moment together.
Wow, this is beautiful. I've learned a lot today, and I know you have to, about the Ghana National College, founded by our very first president, Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. I've been speaking to Nana Ifwa Khan. She's with the 2003 year group, and Nana Kojo, who is the president of the 2003 year group as well. And they've been telling us about their 75th anniversary. Congratulations to you. And we wish you all the best in whatever you're doing. Well, later on the show, you'd have the chance to join us with your views via phone and social media. You want to stay for that? Grateful that you could stay with me here on the AM show. It's now time to tell you about a company which has a vision to create sustainable income and economic, social, and environmental value through its role as a leading agro input importer and distributor in agric markets. That's Agro Monty Limited. And today I've been joined by managing partner, agribusiness consultant at Agro Monty Limited, Dominic Donko. It's good to have you here again, Mr. Donko.
Thank you.
So what are we talking about today?
Wow, today we're talking about Sakura. And I don't know if you understand Sakura.
Oh, of course I do.
Yeah, so when you
go bald.
Sakura,
yes.
Exactly. And somebody will ask, why Sakura?
Yes.
Sakura because weed control is a very weed control really affects crop production.
Right.
In simple words. And most times people think that it's only pests and diseases. So concentration is on the insects, fungal infections, etc. But with poor weed management or weed control, you can lose 100% of your crops because it can engulf your farm and you can't even harvest one grain. So Agro-Monti, as part of our research and development policy, decided to identify some of these gaps, see how we can help the farmer eradicate or control weeds effectively on their farms. And that's how come we brought Sakura.
So what type of weedicide is this and how is it applied?
Good question. I mean, we have categories of weedicides. The total weedicide that kills all weeds. And then we have the selective, we have the post-emergence, we have a lot. But Sakura falls in the family of pre-emergence, meaning there shouldn't be any weed on the field before application.
Okay.
So it's a pre-emergence weedicide. And there are a lot of pre-emergent emergence weedicides on the market, but the problem is the technical information available has not really sunk down well with the farmers. So the application has always been a problem. And the ones that are really good and the companies that brought it who have really done a good job, there's still a gap. And that is where we identified the gap and decided to solve it with technology.
And what's this gap you're talking about?
Okay, so it's all about the formulation. Chemicals come in different formulations and concentrations. So their mode of actions differ. We realize that the common active ingredient of the pre-emergence weeds on the market is pendimethalin. And it's when I say raw pendimethalin, because you apply it and it works. However, it doesn't meet all the targets.
Okay.
Because it works straight into the soil, it goes straight into the soil and starts working. But Sakura has a unique formulation. The last time I came, I talked about micro-encapsulated formulation. And today I'll delve deep into it for our listeners and viewers to see why there's the need to use Sakura.
Okay.
It's a slow release. And because of the wet micro capsule, it releases in small particles. And the particles are coated. So it doesn't work directly, it comes out slowly. And it comes with a target. It doesn't just attack anything.
Right.
It attacks the weeds that are yet to emerge beneath the soil.
And that's why it's called pre-emergence.
Yes.
So it even tackles the weed before it sprouts.
Exactly.
Right.
But one secret about Sakura 2 is that in some cases, it serves as an early post. And when I say early post, although the weeds have sprouted and come above the surface, it also kills it.
Okay.
Yeah. And it is only Sakura that has that formulation. That one, I can attest to that. Somebody can challenge me, but we have the trials on the fields. The farmers are witnesses and they give their testimonies.
So where can farmers get Sakura to buy?
Farmers can get Sakura to buy in any agri-business shop or agro-input shop. However, they can also get it from Agro-Monti outlets. There are some areas that you don't have a lot of these distributors or retailers. So we site our camp there and then make sure that we reach out to the target farmer. So you can find Agro-Monti outlets in Sawam. We have one at Oti region in Kwanta, to be precise. Kaswa New Market. When you are coming from Bojuase, is on the second gate. And when you're coming from the Kaswa traffic light, main Kaswa traffic light towards the New Market, is the first gate. Then Mankesim, the Accra station. We are there. Madina, Zongo Junction, we are in the Madina Market and 100 meters away from the Zogo Junction traffic light when you use the Libya Cortez Road. And our head office is at Adenta House in an area called Loto Kiosk.
Loto Kiosk. So is it, I mean, if somebody wants to do business with Agro Monti, that's where they should come, to the headquarters at where again?
Actually, our administrative office is at Adenta, like I said. But any of
Loto
our outlets.
Yes. They can go to any of your outlets if they want to do business with you.
If they want to. Because it starts from there. Right. So if somebody is in Mankesim, he doesn't need to come to Accra. By contacting our agent in Mankesim, the process starts.
There are people who are concerned about weedicides, right? Leaving residue on maybe vegetables and other crops. What is the benefit in Sakura in terms of those concerns?
Okay. With Sakura, like I said, it's a microencapsulated formulation. So it releases in small quantities and hits a target.
Okay.
Although it has a long-term residue, its target is only the second generation of wheat. It doesn't have any effect on the quality of the fruit or the vegetable that will be produced eventually.
That's fantastic. And what other thing makes it unique?
You mean Sakura?
Yes.
Yes. What makes Sakura unique is that it is both a pre-emergence and an early post.
Okay.
So, like I said earlier, the weeds that will sprout early stages after you have applied Sakura, it will take care of it, and the ones underneath the soil.
So you've shown us where to go to get these products, but how do we contact you as well, beyond the shops?
Okay. So these numbers are available for further discussions. That's 0243 462023. I repeat, 0243 462023 and 0244 888 713. 0244 888 713. And we'll pick it from there and we'll continue with the discuss.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dominic Donko. He is managing partner and agribusiness consultant at Agro Monti Limited. They are into agric inputs and they've been doing a lot of work in the sector. Well, you can search them. They have a very beautiful website as well, Agro Monti, and there's a hotline there you can call. So if you're interested, especially in what Mr. Donko is here to sell to you today, which is the Sakura. I mean, perfect description for the weedicide. Then you can give him a call and his team will be ready to host you. Thank you so much once again.
And thank you for hosting me.
Right. It's now time to get interactive with you. We'll do so shortly. Do stay. Thank you so much for holding on. When you see Benjamin and I, it means most likely it's time to get interactive with you. So we've been talking about a lot of things today, and he's been engaging the MP Kofi Adams, and they've been talking about a wide range of issues. Tell us what you think, and also on the conversation about Dr. Nkrumah and his legacy. I don't know what you make of what his children had to say. And we had that conversation right after that, coincidentally, with reps from the Ghana National College, and it was quite an interesting conversation. So, yeah, it's now time to get interactive with you. Give us a call, 0302-211-691. And like I said, we've been discussing a wide range of issues. Well, Akonoba is our first caller from Kumasi. Say hello, Akonoba, let's hear you.
Yeah, hello guys, how are you?
Good, thanks for asking.
Yeah. You see, I want to touch on what the minority demanded yesterday about the side train.
Mm-hmm.
So, is that how far Dr. Baumia and Senator has brought us? Hey, you've paid 2 million Ghana cedis, allegedly, to a company without any return. Why did they do this? It's not time that we, the electorate, you must teach some of these politicians a very, very political lesson. Left for me, Dr. Bahana should not even come near the presidency again because he has proven to be very incompetent. And that is what, look at all these things. And he cannot exonerate himself from it. So I don't know why, at times, we the electorate, we allow some of these politicians to assume or to think that we don't know what we are doing. How can you pay $2 million, allegedly pay $2 million to a company without any work done? The National Cathedral too, they demolished houses of judges, and now look at where it is. One total waste of our resources and our money. And you now want to come back and stand for president for us to vote for him again over our dead body. We are going to show Dr. Bawumia and the NPP a very big political lesson by voting against them. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us, and that's a Konoba, quite a very strong-worded. I don't even know how to put it, but he's quite passionate about what he says. So I don't know what you make of it. So just let us know. Benjamin and I are waiting to hear from you, and it's just been an interesting day, if you ask me.
Well, a lot to talk about. We'd love to hear from you. 0302-211-691. I was just watching those. Since yesterday, I've been listening to your conversation with Sekou and Samia and how they disagreed to agree on the bit about whether Nkrumah was a dictator. But we'd love to hear from you. What do you think on the back of some of those comments? You watched the interview. We have another call on the line. Hello?
Hey, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Kofi. How are you?
I'm doing good.
And how's Kofi, dear?
We are managing it.
Right, let's hear you, please.
I'm actually sad this morning, looking at what the events that have been unfolding in the country day in, day out. We hear different scandals. Can you imagine what that $2 million could have done for our mothers who went to sit at the buffer shop crying because they were owed some money and they were not being paid? My sister, I have worked in a government institution for more than 12 years without a single promotion. And that has had a devastating effect on my life and progression. As a youth who has competed, worked for 12 years without a single promotion. And you hear about day in, day out, the money which our rulers are rolling out themselves. And when you hear nurses moving out of the country, we lament. Things are not moving on in the country as it should. And I wonder if they are not seeing the vice president has the infantry go around campaigning that he wants to become president of this country. Can you imagine the infantry he's having in the face of Ghanaians, telling us that he wants to be the president of this country? You have been given almost 7 years. You claim you were the professor and the doctor of it. You knew everything about the economy. Yes, look at our Ghanaian economy. Look at where the dollar is. I won't continue. I'm praying I move out of this country called Ghana for I don't know, I can't continue. I'm sorry.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us, Kofi. And every day we sit here, we hear your concerns, and then, it just makes you feel like, what will it take? It makes you question what it will take for us to change the narrative. If somebody will call us today and say, for example, with your issue about promotion, and give us a counter, report, how long will it take for us to get to that point? Well, Abdul is calling us from Wa, is it? Hello, Abdul. Let's hear you, please.
Yes, good morning, and good morning to your listeners.
Good morning.
Yes, it appears very clearly that people do not have a message to tell Ghanaians, but rather to attack the personalities of others. If that 2 million Ghana cedis that they're talking about.
Oh, Abdul, sorry, we lost you there. Too bad. Too bad. Please call us again if you can. We'll be happy to hear from you. Do we have another call on the line? Well, not yet. So Abdul was just talking about political messaging and what people have or have not to say. All right, we have Owusu Bempa joining us. Hello, Owusu Bempa. Let's hear you, please.
Yeah, my take is about the nurses traveling from Ghana to...
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
As we can see, as we speak now, rotating nurses have not received their salaries or let me say allowances. And if they are leaving, why then should the government complain? They should leave because we all need to survive. And there can be a case where you work for 12 solid months without your allowance. So the best is you leave for greener pastures. Greetings to Alan Kyerematen. I'm done.
Right. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. The last one got me. Greetings to Alan Kyerematen. I was just going to ask a question, but he quickly got off the line, though. But nurses leaving the country. Someone was asking me the other time, what about other professions? Are there opportunities? I recently heard about opportunities for teachers in other parts of the world, and I'm beginning to wonder if we will need to start having a conversation about the exodus of teachers as well. Our people here say they need the right services and conditions to work under. Can't we just provide that for them? Mante is joining us from Makosumbo. Hello, Mante. Let's hear you, please.
Hello?
Hello, Mante. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Right. Please, let's hear you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the job doing. Yeah, I can hear you well.
Mante, listen to me on the phone, not on the television. Please reduce the volume of your television set.
Yeah,
Well, it's sad, Monte. We'd be glad to hear from you again. When you do call, if you're close to your television set and if the volume is high, we'll get feedback and interactivity will be like an echo chamber. So just turn off your TV and reach out to us on phone 0302 211691.
Hello.
Yes,
Good morning.
madam.
Please, what's your name?
My name is Honorable One.
No, that's not your name. That's your nickname. I want to know your actual name, please.
You see?
I want to know your actual name.
My actual name is Asaribafo, Honorable Asaribafo.
Asaribafo, good to have you. Let's hear you, please.
Okay. Let me extend my greetings to hopeful NPP presidential candidate Alan Kyerematen. We are praying to God that he will lead the NPP to big age. Lady, madam, as you were saying that you want to know that if or whether Nkrumah is a dictator or a democratic. My thought is that Nkrumah was a democratic. If you compare the other governments or the past government, Nkrumah is the best among all of them. And I want to tell the grassroots or the NPP aspirants or the delegates that if you want someone who can lead the NPP to win 2024 election, there's no other person like Alan Kyerematen.
Thank you for calling, Asaribafo. Thank you so much. I get what you're trying to do there, but we appreciate your comments. Just trying to feed in a bit of a campaign for Alan Kyerematen in there. But his thoughts are that the former president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, is democratic or had some democratic elements within the kind of governance structure he eventually created. And so, well, agreeing with Samia. Hello, we have a caller from Brekum. Sorry, I didn't get your name clearly.
Hello, Lydia. Good morning.
Oh, Lydia. Oh, hi, Lydia. How are you?
I'm doing very well, by God's grace.
Great to hear you.
Okay. I would like to speak on the issue of nurses leaving the country. I think this issue is not loud enough. I wish the media would push it very well. I'm a nurse as well.
Right.
And this is having significant impact on the healthcare system, no matter how we don't want to pay attention to it. I graduated in 2019, and I'm still unemployed technically. However, I was so lucky to be retained by the hospital where I did my service. And I'm working full-time. However, I'm being paid let's say about 20% of what I would have earned as a nursing officer.
How much exactly is that?
900 technically Ghana cedis. And I've been taking that for over a year with no increment. I've even been made an in charge because when I came, we had good nurses with skills in the hospital which I cannot disclose, and almost half of them are gone. All the technical people that we used to look up to, people who were really doing the work, have left. They've left outside, left to the diaspora. Pardon me. And because of this, we are working, but we can see a significant change in the quality of healthcare we are giving to people in our hospital. We have enrolled nurses that they posted recently. Meanwhile, most of them do not even know what they are doing in the hospital. So we have mistakes that will never be recorded, preventable deaths that would never be mentioned. And each and every day, if I'm being sincere, if I get the opportunity to leave today, obviously I would go. So I don't think the media is really paying much attention to the issue of nurses because we are doing a lot in the healthcare sector.
Right, Lydia, thank you very much. I just have to say, though, I don't know how often you watch this network and in the media. I disagree with you respectfully because a lot of light is thrown on this matter. In fact, was it last week? In fact, for the last few weeks, I personally have been sharing on my blunt thoughts about nurses leaving the country. We hosted Umar Farouk right here on the show. He's a nurse who left for the UK, among others. So technically, I don't think it is right when you suggest that the media is not paying any attention to your plight. But of course, more can be done. In any case, if we don't pay attention to it, it's our health system that is going to be impacted. And maybe the next time I go to a hospital, I might struggle to get a nurse. So let's put it into context. But I will just add, though, that the 900 cedis that she mentions as her salary, interestingly, most of those I spoke to who work with private institutions are earning 500 and 600. So I think even your private institution is doing pretty well. I'm not saying it's the best situation, but more has to be done. That's all I wanted to say on that bit. We still have a little time to take a few more calls. 0302-211-691. What are your thoughts for us this morning? And Bernice, you were talking about teachers as well.
Yeah.
You don't need to look outside of the continent. From time to time, our teachers leave for the likes of Equatorial Guinea, among others. They are being employed. I don't know. Maybe some people don't know, but because of oil money, Equatorial Guinea, and of course the fact that they speak Spanish and they want some people who speak English. So it's happening, it's real, and if we keep up like this as a country, only God knows, God forbid, what could happen to us in terms of brain drain.
And here's, we have a caller from Bimbila. Hello, hi, what's your name, please? Zebila, okay, you're calling us from Zebila.
Let me reduce the TV noise so that I'll hear well.
Interesting. Please remember to do that before you call us. Would appreciate that. Hello, please tell us where you're calling from and what your thoughts are.
Remember to do that.
So if you're going to be able to do this, do it before you call. Don't call and now be tweaking the system. Just lower the volume on your set to 0 if you like, and then place the call and just listen to us on phone. That's the best way we can get interactive. We have to do this all the time. If you plan on calling, just observe those protocols so that we can also attend to you. We have another caller on the line. Justin, good morning.
Good morning.
Justin, would love to hear you. Please make it as brief as you can. You are our last caller.
Good morning.
Good morning. We can hear you. Please go ahead.
Mine has to do with the TM laptops that are supposed to be distributed to GS staff and sort of basic schools. Since the monies have been deducted up to date, we haven't received the machine. So could you please kindly use your network to help us receive the laptops in order to aid teaching and learning in our various schools? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Justin. Thank you for alerting us. And Justin is our last caller, like I said. Thank you all for getting interactive with that. We love it when we hear what you have to say. Well, we quickly need to wrap up, but are you 18 years and above? Then don't miss this important COVID-19 vaccination campaign. You need this jab to protect yourself and your family against COVID. So on Wednesday, the 19th to Sunday, the 23rd of this month, July 2023, that's when you need to get the jab. Remember, even though the risk of catching COVID has decreased, the virus is still around and it's possible to get infected and even die. We are not safe from COVID until all eligible persons are vaccinated. The vaccine will be given to all persons 18 and above during this campaign by trained health workers. The vaccination will be taking place in all health centers and a number of vaccination posts, schools, markets, churches, bus stations, and in your neighborhood. So be on the lookout. Well, if you've completed the primary series of vaccinations, that's the 2 doses of all vaccines except the Johnson & Johnson, you qualify to get a booster dose. Remember, the vaccine is safe, is effective and free. It reduces the severity of disease when you catch COVID-19 and prevents hospitalization and death. If you feel anything unusual after the vaccination, kindly report to the nearest health facility. Continue to observe COVID-19 prevention protocols. Frequently wash your hands with soap under running water. Use alcohol-based sanitizers. Protect yourself, protect your family. Get vaccinated against COVID-19. Now, and this message is from the Ministry of Health, the Ghana Health Service, and its partners. And that's how we end this edition.
Before we go, let me also announce to all of you that today we're having the Joy Business Pre-Budget Forum. It's taking place live on Joy News, this network, and Joy 99.7 FM, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Our guests include Professor Godfred Bokpin of the University of Ghana, Dr. Humphrey Ayiem Dake, President, Association of Ghana Industries. We also have Mark Bedu Abuaje of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the President of GUTA, Joseph Obeng, among others who are lined up to join us this afternoon. So between 1 and 3 p.m., let's have that pre-budget forum. And of course, the media budget review slated for July the 25th. Stay for that. Join us later in the day. And on that note, Bernice.
Well, it's goodbye from us. God willing, we're back again tomorrow with another exciting edition of the AM show, which puts you at the heart of all we do. Until then, take care. Up next is News Desk.